Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Market Open. It is Monday, December 2nd, 8:46 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are here once again to open up the markets. Happy December, folks. We are officially into the last month of the year, December 2024. Kind of crazy that we are already here, but nonetheless, we are indeed here. And we have about 30 days left until we end out 2024. And we head into 2025. So in order to end out 2024, we've got a lot of stuff still going on, a lot of earnings this week that are actually taking place, and a lot of events across a variety of different industries, along with some macro data, CPI, job numbers that we're going to get this week as well, that are going to be very important to end out the week. Today, Monday morning, first Monday of December, we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We've got MicroStrategy buying another 15,000 Bitcoin. That was completely unexpected. They actually didn't raise convertible debt to buy this Bitcoin, from my understanding. They just sold some MicroStrategy stock. And so we're going to talk about that in terms of buying Bitcoin. We also have Marathon that did raise another $700 million convertible note to be able to buy more Bitcoin. So you've got that momentum affecting Bitcoin. Obviously, XRP, some of the altcoins last night. XRP did flip Solana. It's now a $132 billion market cap coin. So we'll be talking about that. And then outside of that, you got some other headlines. Tesla unveils FSD 13. That is starting to give momentum to Tesla, up about 2% in the pre-markets. You've got Palantir with a brand new video on Ferrari. We're going to be talking about the Palantir Ferrari collaboration. A lot of people have heard about this collaboration since 2021, including myself. But it's starting to get a little bit more aggressive in terms of how they're working together. I'm actually going to have a Palantir employee come on the show at 10:15. This was set up literally yesterday on Twitter. If you saw the thread where I commented under the video and Chad was like, hey, do you want to get one of these guys on your show? And so Jack Dobson, who was actually on the halftime show with me, he's going to be here at 10:15 kind of talking about that video, and that'll be really exciting. And then we have some macro data in regards to Black Friday, what's been happening with retail spending, what's been happening with retail e-commerce, and what that potentially means going into Q4 for 2025, because we get Q4 results in February, but also going into December towards the end of the year. And as June just comments right here, I forgot to mention, because it literally happened 2 minutes ago, like literally 2 minutes ago, Intel CEO is out. Intel CEO is out. Pat Gelsinger is gone as CEO. He's gone from the board of directors. So not only is he stepping down, he's leaving the board of directors, which means he's like out, like he's gone. It's like, it's not just they're replacing the CEO. He's just like, he's legit gone from the entire company. Stock right now is currently, I still believe, up 5%, up 3.5%. So now we're at 24.89 versus 25.28. But the market does like that Intel is going to be having some new leadership. And you got Intel going up as a result of it going down. Is it good for Intel? I don't know if it's good for Intel. I do think a lot of people think that the innovation of Pat Gelsinger has not been there, as AMD, NVIDIA, and other chip companies have eaten his lunch. However, I don't know if a new CEO necessarily is going to be able to resolve the structural problems that exist with Intel. But if the street thinks there is a shot that new leadership and new management and new culture can help, then maybe that ultimately is going to be good for Intel in and of itself. But Pat is officially gone. All right, let's get into it. Thank everybody for being here. Hopefully everyone had a great Thanksgiving. I'm thankful for all of you guys being here once again. Hopefully you guys had a good Black Friday, got to spend some time with your family. But we are here, and it's time to get back to work. Thomas, Jeremy, Cap'n Crunch, Erwin, Sean, June, what's up? Sanjay, Mike, Lars, Nicola, Brofesco, Joe, John, what's up? Hood morning, folks. I like it. Good morning, hood morning. John, what's up? Thank you for being here. Also, Robinhood's Investor Day is this week. So there's two things happening this week. One I can talk about, one I can't talk about yet. The Robinhood Investor Day, I'm going to be there December 4th. Roy Crossroads, friend of the channel, he's going to be staying over at my house because he's flying in from Texas. So we're both going to be there together. I believe Tanner's going to be there. TJ might be there. So you might get some content from all of us. And then there's another event happening this week that I can't talk about, but you guys will see that event, and it'll be pretty cool. So we got a lot of good stuff happening first week of December. Reza, Gene, Sithmaster, Hugh, Zokol, JD, what's up? All right, let's get into it. Let's start off with Tom Lee, who is on CNBC. He is predicting 6,300 for the S&P. 6,300 by the end of the year. Some analysts barely have 6,500 by the end of next year. Tom says 6,300 by the end of this year. We'll talk about why. And Bitcoin well above 100,000. Here's Tom Lee this morning.
Sees the S&P rallying to 6,300 by year end, but says we could be entering what he's calling a zone of hesitation in the next couple of weeks. Joining us now, Tom Lee, Fundstrat Capital Chief Investment Officer and a CNBC contributor. It's good to see you, Tom. I want to talk to you about the bonds 10-year at some point, but you see 4 reasons why you still expect the S&P to continue to rally in December and maybe to 6,300 by year end. What are the 4 reasons?
Well, one is seasonality. December historically is a strong month, but when you're up more than 10% in the first half and it's an election year, December's been up 100% of the time. The second is yields have moved down to pre-election levels. The 10-year's at 4.1. That's good for multiple expansion. The third is, I think it's been surprising, but sentiment's actually turned negative the last 2 weeks, even as the markets rallied. To me, that's a contrarian bullish signal. And then finally, we still have those 2 puts, the Trump put and the Fed put. And I think that means you still want to buy any of these dips.
What can Trump do to make sure the market keeps going up?
Well, I think we've seen it with how he's made cabinet proposals or nominations, that he's very pro-business. And I think, as many have said, Trump is very focused on the stock market. So I think communication is still a strategy, and it's a reminder that animal spirits could come back.
I don't know if you watch the way the financial, say this tactfully, I don't know if you watch the way the financial media industry covers tariffs. I mean, how can you call him pro-business, according to these people, when he's pro-tariffs? Because you would just think, if you watch the coverage of tariffs.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a reminder that it's good to carry a big stick. And I think tariffs have proven to be a good negotiating tool. I think we've seen some proactive actions by other countries. And in general, I don't think the new White House wants to pursue any policies that would hurt corporate profits. So I think ultimately, whatever is accomplished is going to be pro-business.
That's interesting. All right, I hope everybody's listening. At least that's one man's opinion. Whenever we talk about like the 10-year, it's always it'd be good this way, but it would be bad this way. If it is falling, which is good for multiple expanding, why isn't that indicating that maybe the economy isn't as strong as we thought, and that maybe corporate profits won't hold up their end of the multiple expansion on one hand, but sometimes that's combined with a slowing in profit growth?
It is a possibility, and it's always hard to tell what the bond market is telling us. But when I look at the next 6 to 12 months, and we know the Fed wants to reduce the cost of capital for homeowners in mortgages and for small business owners, having the 10-year stay at these levels or even fall is actually an easing of financial conditions. So to me, that's a good sign.
Do you think that trying to this Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy thing, do you think it's that they can make real progress, and B, would that be a positive for economic growth, or would it be a negative for economic growth because you're laying people off, you're spending less?
Well, I think it's great that someone is scrutinizing these.
Bernie Sanders said it was great.
Yes, that's right. And these are
that's
huge.
Not good. No, go ahead.
Well, I mean,
Bernie Sanders did agree over the weekend with Elon, and he tweeted that Elon was right about the government spending.
The huge budget items. And so I'd love to see someone really identify where there could be waste. Mm-hmm. And is that bad for the economy? I think in general, most people view government spending as the least efficient capital. So if you reduce government spending, and it's been crowding out private sector spending, I'd rather see the private sector reinvest that capital. And I think that would overall be very good.
You sound like it's a zero-sum game. I mean, a lot of people would take any spending they can get, whether it's government or otherwise, for an economy, for juicing the economy.
Yeah,
you think it would go into private if it's not spent by the government?
Yes, that's right. I think that would free up money, because this is, money, the capital that the government spends is competing with private sector money. I'd rather see the private sector invest this money at a higher rate of return. So I think overall it'd be positive for GDP and profits and for equities.
Do you want to, we always get a Bitcoin comment from you before we let you go. Normally it got stuck under 100. That's a pretty It's a psychological level, I would imagine.
Yeah, I think some of this could be, there's a lot of folks who don't want Bitcoin over 100,000, and some of it may be the exchanges themselves are concerned because there is a pretty low supply of Bitcoin available over the counter. So you have a supply shortage, and if Bitcoin makes a move above 100,000, I think there'd be a big chase. So I'm still confident Bitcoin's going to close much higher before year end.
Before year end.
Before year end, yeah.
So break $100,000 before the end of the year?
Yeah, well above 100,000 before year end. It's just a matter of time.
It's December 2nd. It's not that long, Tom. So it's going to do it in the next 4 weeks.
Tom makes bold short-term
I know,
calls.
he's nutty.
Look at that smile by Tom. Joe's like, it's December 2nd. Tom's like, yeah, I know. You know, he's not alone. Obviously, Michael Saylor also believes that 100,000 by New Year's Eve is going to happen. Tom believes that, you know, it can be well over 100,000. And so that's the update we got from Tom Lee. So 2 takeaways from there: 6,300 on the S&P 500. His data science team did some work, and essentially in their Sunday note, they reported that 6 out of 6 times historically in an election year, when the markets are down going into the election, like we were, but we like in 2024 in November, but we don't have a recession, the S&P tends to rally on average by 7% in the 3 months after the election, which would bring us closer from the election S&P target before Trump got elected to the end of the year at 6,300. Now, if that happens, that's setting up a 7,000 2025 S&P unless we get some massive collapse. I don't know if we get 6,300. If we do, I mean, it would be pretty incredible. But even if we get 6,100, I think it would be amazing, because right now we're at 6,000, right? So to have another 7%, that means we would end the year closing in on almost 30% on the S&P 500. I mean, that'd be a big deal. That'd be a very big deal. Question is going to be if it ends up happening. Now, in terms of what he said about Bitcoin, so Bitcoin above 100,000, you got MicroStrategy today buying another 15,400 Bitcoin at about 1.5 billion. So $95,976 per Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin was like 94,000 right before this was reported. And then you had it bump up to like 95,000 because people got excited that Saylor bought the dip. But we're not over 100,000 yet. MicroStrategy continues to buy 402,000 Bitcoin at an average of 58,000 Bitcoin. Currently, right now, they have $38 billion worth of this asset. And I believe around half of that is profits on paper. This is their 4th buy over the past month, which means in the past 30 days, they bought 27,000 Bitcoin, 55,000 Bitcoin, 51,000 Bitcoin, and today 15,000 Bitcoin for about 150,000 Bitcoin bought in the last 30 days. Michael Saylor does not care. He continues to buy. On top of that, you also have spot Bitcoin ETFs that bought 71,000 Bitcoin in the month of November, while only 13,500 were mined on average, meaning, you know, the argument around a supply shock happening and the argument around no coins being left on the exchange, that is a real argument. The question is just going to be, when do the sellers finally stop selling at these levels right before 100,000, and we get to normalize 100K, because obviously there's definitely a supply demand imbalance. But as of now, the sell side is still ready to sell at the 97, 98, 99 level, because they don't just trust 100,000. And we saw this from 19,000 to 20,000 4 years ago. It took about 2 weeks, and we had a 17% drop before you could get over 20,000. But after you get over 20,000, then it becomes normal, right? 25, 26, 27, let's go to 30, 40, 50. Now we're all the way here at 90. Question becomes if we can do that for 100,000. On top of that, Marathon also has proposed a $700 million convertible note offering at another 0% coupon. These companies continue to get 0% debt via convertible notes, and they take that to buy Bitcoin. So we don't have the premium that these notes convert at. I think on the $1 billion convertible note, it was $25. Marathon is above $25 right now. So that 40% premium from when it was $18 was already achieved. They're going to decide the convertible rate in a few weeks. But you now got $700 million more coming into Marathon to be able to buy Bitcoin. You got MicroStrategy buying Bitcoin. Again, this strategy will work if Bitcoin goes up. If Bitcoin stalls out, Bitcoin stays flat, or Bitcoin kind of collapses, Marathon and MicroStrategy are going to have a hard time. But as of now, that's not what the world is believing. That's not what the market is believing. That's not what the Trump administration is kind of signaling in terms of how they're navigating the broader Bitcoin ecosystem, crypto ecosystem. And as a result, you've got Bitcoin continuing to do well, 95,720 right here. XRP went up about 40% yesterday. I have $150 of XRP. It's up like $90 now. So I think I'm up 70% in total on the position. I don't know why XRP is going up, but it has flipped Solana as one of the world's most valuable cryptos. So the point is, you've just got a lot of momentum in the crypto ecosystem from a variety of different angles. And the altcoins are kind of signaling right here. Here are the market caps of the market continuing to believe that there is value in some of these other assets that are in the crypto space. It actually flipped Tether as well. It flipped Solana and USDT. So XRP now, $138 billion market cap. Ethereum at 437 billion. That one is up about 4% over the past 5 days. And then Bitcoin right there at 1.8 trillion currently right now. So that's what we got for the crypto ecosystem. All depends on job reports this week. Yeah, so this is a good comment. Job numbers we get on Friday, Bitcoin, and I think the broader market depends on that. The market's expecting about 220,000 jobs. Do we get 220,000 jobs? I think so. I mean, we've been averaging about 200,000 for the past couple months now. Last month we got 12,000, but that was because of the hurricanes. The market kind of expected it. It wasn't that big of a deal. Now the question becomes, can we pull up the private payrolls in the right level? And again, the balance here is that if you have an explosion of jobs, does that lead to an explosion of inflation, which the 10-year creaking back up right now at 4.226. So really not out of the blue when it comes to the 10-year. Inflation expectations are still there along with tariffs, which we'll talk about in a bit. But at its core, if people have a job, even if inflation is sticky, which is a whole different scenario that we have to deal with as an economy, the one thing we might not have to deal with is a massive recession, because if people have jobs, they're able to spend. And if people are spending, obviously that is good for companies at the end of the day. So that's what we got going on right now currently in the Bitcoin ecosystem. Tom Lee against 6,500 or 6,300 for the S&P by the end of the year. Now, having said that, let's transition a little bit to Tesla before we get into the macro. We have the highest price target upgrade on the street, even higher than Dan Ives on Tesla. SoFi raised to 16 from JP Morgan. Oh, that's good. That's really good. Let's check out the SoFi real quick. SoFi price. That's good if JP Morgan's upgrading them. Yeah, SoFi's up about 0.5% right now in the pre-market, 1648. Not bad. Okay, so Tesla was raised to 411. 411. This is even higher than Dan Ives' $400 price target by Stifel. So here's what he had to say, and what he had to say kind of coincided pretty much with what I saw over the weekend. Tesla's up about 2% in the pre-markets. If you saw on Friday, Tesla gapped up from 337 to 345, like minutes before the market closed on after hours. And the reason for that was probably because people knew that FSD 13 was coming out, or at least someone knew. And over the weekend, FSD 13.2 did roll out. So analysts wrote, we are raising our target price sharply to 411 from 287 to reflect a clearer path to FSD and Cybercab, as well as our updated model. Our new model includes modestly lower automotive margins to reflect the likely removal of the EV tax credit, changes to the mix of EV sales essentially to reflect more Model 2s and Cybercabs, a revised expectation for FSD adoption, aka more people signing up and paying the $8,000 for FSD. And fourth, an updated, refined, and more optimistic view of Cybercab. Our EBITDA forecasts for 2024 to 2026 are 16.4 billion, 21.2 billion, and 25.7 billion, respectively, up from 16, 21, and 26. They're raising their 411 target based on 20 to 25 projected EBITDA estimates in 2025 for the core business. That gives you 144 a share. 50% of estimated FSD upside. That gives you 155 a share. And again, the margin on FSD is like very good because it's a software business. 50% of estimated robotaxi upside. That gives you $98 a share. And then they actually put in Optimus into their model. This is one of the first firms. Even Kathy doesn't put Optimus into her model. Stifel saying 25% of upside we think is going to come from Optimus. That gives you another $15 a share. And that's how you get Tesla at a sum of the parts story to $411 on an upgrade. I think there is a really big argument that 2025 is going to be the year of Tesla. I really think that is a chance. And the reason that's a chance, and I think Martin mentioned this on Twitter yesterday, fund managers have money that they need to deploy, and they're looking for the most innovative and honestly strongest potential stocks into 2025. Why do I use the word potential? Well, everything's up. Everything's expensive. We know everything's up. We know everything's expensive. It's really hard to kind of find undervalued companies. By the way, Palantir up another 1% in the pre-market, 67, 62, maybe going for that 68 level. We do have the QQQ rebalance happening in a couple weeks. We'll know if Palantir gets in. But if everything's expensive, then you've got to bet on potential. And what has the most potential in the stock market right now? Crypto, Bitcoin, right? The idea that Bitcoin is going to become a reserve asset, a reserve currency. We're going to set up a Bitcoin reserve. Trump's getting bullish. All these crypto people are bullish, etc. And then Tesla FSD, robotics, cybercab, and the new generation model that's probably going to cost less than $30,000. You put all those things together, it kind of makes sense why 2025 could be the year of Tesla and Bitcoin. And from a stock perspective, that means MicroStrategy could benefit, Robinhood could benefit, Marathon could benefit, Coinbase could benefit, and then Tesla could benefit. So I think that's one of the arguments we're seeing right now. And that's why a lot of money, even at this valuation on Tesla, 1-point-something trillion market cap, is continuing to get more momentum. Along with the fact, here's another reason why Tesla's probably pumping a little bit. Investors believe in XAI. Take a look at the news this morning. Elon Musk has paid a premium of $1.08 billion for NVIDIA's Blackwell chip. So Elon Musk's XAI has reportedly secured priority for NVIDIA's Blackwell deliveries in January of 2025. Again, these are very much in demand and it's hard to get them. And he's offering a premium. You know, people talk about NVIDIA having pricing power. I mean, think about this. And Elon's paying a literal premium. They already got 100,000 H100s. I think it was 2 weeks ago. So now they have a cluster of 200,000 H100s in their Tennessee data center. Now they're upgrading to Blackwell and they're spending $1.08 billion to be able to get that those chips. Why does that matter for Tesla? Well, there's a lot of arguments that Tesla is going to be integrated into XAI. Tesla's going to own a piece of XAI. If you think OpenAI is going to $1 trillion, XAI is only worth $50 billion. OpenAI is worth $150 billion, so it's catching up to OpenAI. If XAI can actually make substantial progress, and there's a variety of ways I think they can get that progress. A lot of it is getting Twitter users to begin using Grok to be able to get the weekly active users to line up with ChatGPT's 250 million. By the way, we have some news on OpenAI we'll talk about in a second. That makes it very likely that XAI potentially being the brains of FSD, the brains of Optimus, the Grok being an operating system for a Tesla car, Grok being more integrated into the 600 million people that use Twitter every month. There's an argument that XAI could be very valuable. And that ecosystem of XAI, Tesla, SpaceX, which is raising at 250 billion, that ecosystem, I think, is what the market wants to bet on. And that's probably why they're trying to get exposure to it via Tesla if they can't buy XAI in and of itself. SMCI is up right now. Why is SMCI up? Okay, SMCI is up 13%. What did SMCI just announce? SMCI announces completion of review by independent special committee. Starlink as well. Yes, Starlink is included in that. Okay, so they got, SMCI got audited, and it looks like the audit is good. And that's why you've got SMCI shares going up. Let me pull up the headline on this right now. SMCI announces completion of review by independent special committee, finds no evidence of misconduct. Okay, so the special committee that investigated them has found no evidence of any wrongdoing. They have approved them to operate as a regular business, and the threat of being delisted is probably gone after this independent auditing, and he got shares up 13%. Okay, not bad. There you go. SMCI continuing to get some momentum. Gene says took them long enough. Yeah, 100%. It definitely took them long enough. All right, there you go. SMCI right here, up 13% currently right now in the pre-markets. Again, if you bought this one, it was a question of like, did you believe management or not, right? And you either believe management, took the risk. You either didn't believe management and stayed away from it. If you stayed away from it, it is what it is. If you got into it at $17, you're up more than double right now. Up 12% right here, SMCI on this special board committee deciding that they are not doing anything wrong. So there you go. Is SMCI still a buy? I personally don't love it. I think the margins suck. I think their business is a little bit more commoditized than we think. However, it's not saying that they're not one of the top 3 players along with HP and Dell when it comes to GPU servers. So if you believe in that thesis and you believe they're like top 3 and they're going to keep growing with NVIDIA, then that's why you buy it. If you don't believe in that and you kind of just don't want to take a risk on that, then, you know, you kind of stay away. But that's kind of the bull and the bear case when it comes to SMCI in and of itself. It is good for the wheel strategy, correct? Well, it's been down it's almost down 60% from its peak, right? So from a wheeling perspective, the premiums are great. But, you know, then the question just becomes, do you believe in the vision long-term if you're wheeling it as well? So from a wheeling perspective, yes, SMCI can be good. All right, so that's what we got in the context of Tesla. Where is Tesla right now in the pre-markets? Tesla currently is at 352, up about 2%. It was up again 3.69% on Friday, getting another 2% boost. SMCI right here up 14%. SoFi up 0.42%. Marathon's down 2%. IBIT's down 1%. Palantir is up 0.5%. We'll talk about Palantir in a bit. Starbucks down slightly. Meta down slightly. Where's the S&P? S&P down slightly at 602.49. And the Qs are at 510. They're up a little bit. NVIDIA in the pre-markets are at 138. So NVIDIA's up 20 bips. I think the XAI $1 billion of Blackwell is probably already baked into NVIDIA's price, but it just goes to show how much companies are willing to pay a premium. That article that came out last week from Bloomberg about Amazon taking NVIDIA's lunch when it comes to chips, Elon's not giving Amazon $1 billion for their chips. He's giving it to NVIDIA. So at the end of the day, even if Amazon's catching up, they do not have the pricing power that NVIDIA has or the momentum that NVIDIA has. And as a result, you have NVIDIA probably going to get a majority of these deals currently right now. And you have a nice recovery from 130 that it was at last week. Rocket Lab is also up another 4% in the pre-markets. It's almost every day this thing is up 1 to 2% at minimum. So this is pretty incredible. But there you go. Rocket Lab up 4%. Intel, for those that are just joining, yes, the Intel CEO did resign. Stock is up about 4% right here, $24.98 in the pre-markets. And he has left the board of directors as well as he decides to leave the company. I think we got to get some more details on why Pat is leaving. That is very weird. He just did an interview like a week ago about how excited he was. So either BlackRock or Vanguard tapped him on the shoulder and it was like, buddy, it's time to leave, or, you know, he personally decided to go, but it is kind of weird to see that end up playing out. All right, let's look at some macro data. So let's talk about US concentration into stocks and ETF inflow. So first, let's take a look at this chart, which was pretty damn incredible. US stock market concentration has hit a record high in 2024. These are the top 10 companies that are a significant percentage of the S&P 500. As you can see right here on the right-hand side of the chart, you've got Apple, NVIDIA, Microsoft, Alphabet, Amazon, Meta, Berkshire Hathaway, Eli Lilly, JP Morgan, and Broadcom. They are the most concentrated levels of the S&P 500. Now, all those companies have done well this year. They've outperformed the S&P, a majority of them. They haven't done like 200-300% like the Palantirs, the Robinhoods, and the Rocket Labs of the world, but still, they've done very well. I think Meta being the best at about 60%. Now, having said that, this is also the reason a lot of people think 2025, we're going to continue to allow the bull market to continue, because we are so concentrated into these big names that these big names are going to chill out in 2025. You know, maybe they'll go up 15, 20%, but they're not going to go up 30, 40, 50%. And the rest of the market, AKA small caps, if we avoid a recession, will continue to do well. I think it's going to be hard to see a 2025 bull market where tech compounds again at 30, 40% and the rest of the market stays flat, because that's a little bit of an unhealthy, top-heavy bull market. And I think we want to see it diversify. Now, when you listen to someone like Dan Ives, who thinks that tech is not going anywhere, that he has the opposite view. He says, no, tech is going to continue to compound in 2025. And like the rest of the market will do well, but tech is where you want to be. And I don't think he's necessarily wrong. The question is just going to be, will Meta go up another 60% in 2025? Or will they go up 20%, which is still amazing if Meta compounds at 20%. But will they have the year that they had in 2024 in 2025? I don't know. We're going to have to see. But that's one of the arguments in terms of the market overall being concentrated at the top. Now, we also have ETF news. ETFs just set a monthly flow record in November of $155 billion. What makes this exciting is that there were only 21 business days in the month because of all the holidays, which means $7.3 billion a day, about triple the normal average of money per day in November, came into the stock market into a variety of ETFs, QQQ, IBIT, S&P 500, VOO, all these different ETFs. Year-to-date inflows for ETFs in 2024, $983 billion. By Wednesday, if the trend continues, we will have $1 trillion that have entered into the stock market via ETFs in 2024. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty damn incredible. And I think what that also signals is that, hey, the market is hungry for more momentum, for more of the ecosystem that stocks are providing, and also for the exciting opportunities and the potential that stocks are giving into 2025. There is still $7 trillion on the sidelines in money market funds. And there's a lot of money in bonds that might be asking themselves, hey, maybe we want to leave bonds and go into the equity markets. And so when you look at that macro setup, if we avoid a recession going into 2025, it does seem very possible that 2025 is a good year. Is it another 30%, 25% year? I don't know. But it definitely seems like it has a shot to be a decent year. Another reason it could be a decent year is because Black Friday did pretty well. Black Friday spending in the U.S. increased 3.4% year over year, according to MasterCard. E-commerce surged by 14.6%. Shopify announced $5 billion in one day, $4.6 million of sales per minute, which is up almost $900 million from last year at $4.1 billion they did on Black Friday. In-store sales saw a modest growth of 0.7%, adjusted for inflation. Estimates show an 8% decline in-store and 8.5% online growth. What that means is that's technically pseudo bearish Target and Walmart, very bullish Amazon and Shopify. Now, Walmart probably got most of those sales over Target, in my opinion, because Walmart's just really good when it comes to Black Friday marketing and spend. But you did see modest increases inside retail stores. You saw really strong increases in e-commerce. And that means TikTok Shop, Shein, Temu, Amazon, the live QVC type of shopping on different platforms like Whatnot. There's a big industry of live shopping where you kind of like are showing an item live and then people are buying it right from the screen. That industry is taking off. And given that industry is taking off, that is going to be very strong for Q4 earnings as well. Martin says, who actually goes to the malls to shop? Oh, wait, Amit did. Yes, I got this hat that you guys seem to love so much from the mall. You know, I haven't shopped at the mall in a while, bro. I was just kind of bored on Friday. Like, we finished the show. I was just like, you know what, maybe I should go. And so I drove. I also wanted an excuse to drive the Miracle Whip. And so I drove to the local mall, and I was surprised it was like actually packed. I was like, why are there so many people here? Like, I didn't expect Black Friday to actually bring out an audience. And it did. People were shopping. So people were shopping online. People were shopping in person. You know, and I think that ultimately means retail sales are going to do well in Q4. That also is congruent with the data that we got, that personal spending is going up along with personal income going up. We got that data on Wednesday. I mean, people have money to spend, and either people are putting it all on their credit cards, which is a possibility, or people are actually like, you know, spending and they have the disposable income to spend, which means if they do, that's not the worst thing in the world. And that does mean there is some momentum in regards to the broader economy and people not necessarily being stuck with no money to be able to spend. But yeah, that's what we got in the context of Black Friday. Who else went Black Friday shopping as well? Some of you guys are saying you went Black Friday shopping. Some of you guys said you didn't. But I think a lot of people, at least that I saw, did go Black Friday shopping and they enjoyed it. And they enjoyed it a lot. SMCI is up 18% now. Wow, SMCI really getting hit. SMCI to the upside. All right, let me call Kris. Kris has some thoughts about the Marathon offering, so let me give him a call right now as well and see what he has to say about that. Again, Marathon raised $700 million in a convertible note. So let's get his perspective on that. Marathon right now down in the pre-markets. SMCI up 18%. Currently right now. Kris, what's up? Good morning.
Hey, dude. What's going on? How are you?
What's going on, man? So Marathon, another $700 million. It does look like they are following the MSTR playbook here. Thoughts on this? And do you think this is productive for them to do right now?
So the strategy that basically has been hypothesized as being, you got these hedge funds, basically what they're doing is they're paying for this convertible debt, giving it to Amara. Amara's buying up Bitcoin with it. And these guys are just playing the volatility. That does seem to be the case now. So I kind of spoke about this last time where it's like this gap that that keeps kind of like moving. It's like almost like a couple of moving goalposts where essentially what they're doing is they're shorting the stock, but at the same time buying the convertible debt, because most of the real values ends up getting transferred to the convertible debt, which means that there's safety in the convertible debt while there's opportunity in shorting the stock. And they've just been doing this back and forth, and it's been a very profitable trade for them. And this pretty much confirms it. Now, I think that this is definitely something that as investors, we can kind of like play along with, at least if we do it in a very, very calculated way. Our goal is to figure out what the goalposts are. And then in the short to medium term, basically play against those goalposts. Like here's an example. Like right now, Mara is trading at a relatively high stock price compared to those goalposts right now. Like the goalposts that I have in mind are between $20 and $28. So $28 is like the target, where if things go above 28, they're going to start issuing convertible debt. And if things start to go below like that $20 mark, not $20 exactly, but below the $20, you're going to see short covering. So I think the goalposts are going to constantly keep moving, and that's something that just to keep in mind. But right now would be a good time to sell calls on Mara, especially because volatility is still high and you're getting a crap ton in premium. But then when it gets low enough, it's a good idea to sell puts, right? In which case now you're profiting from that volatility when things are at the opposite end. And it's just this constant playing back and forth. And believe it or not, this is like the ideal scenario for companies that want to, or people that want to try to do this wheel and deal strategy, which I don't recommend. I'm not a fan of wheeling and dealing because I think that whole concept is like playing a game of Russian roulette where if you play it right, like, yeah, it's fun, but eventually the bullet comes your way. So so I think right now, if people are interested, that's the way to do it. I'm trying to do some other novel strategies that I'm gonna try to like capitalize on. I made some decent money on Mara on the way up to 28, but to be honest, I wish I had applied a different strategy rather than my traditional debit spreads, because I think the debit spreads were good, but the timing on my debit spreads might have been a little bit too far out.
What do you think of Saylor buying 15,000 Bitcoin today?
I mean, he's going to do what he's going to do. He's just a Bitcoin maxi. He's always going to try to figure out ways to make money and generate capital somewhere and buy more Bitcoin. I mean, the challenge here, though, Amit, and this is something everyone should keep in mind. This was a $700 million offering. Last time they did it was a $1 billion offering. That was oversubscribed. So this time around, either there isn't as much demand as it was last time, or something is going on. So I would say watch for the subscription levels on this current trade. If it's oversubscribed again by a really healthy margin, then it's something to be like, okay, yeah, the party's going to keep going on. But at the same time, if you start to see like maybe they didn't get as oversubscribed, then that's something to also keep in mind. Another thing is they didn't announce the conversion price yet. That's why I posted the thing on Twitter. Like, what is the conversion price of the offering? So is it almost 50% like it was last time? Because if it's convertible up to 50% higher premium, because at the time it was trading at 19, and I think the conversion price was like 26 or 27, something like that. Like, it's like an uneven number. But so just keep that in mind on how much premium these quote unquote long-term call contracts, because essentially that's what they are. When you look at convertible debt, it's kind of like a long-term call option with a certain level of floor, like pricing, so that this way you're not going to lose money if things go like south really quickly, because at the end of the day you're a debtor, right? So you're basically giving debt. So yeah, just keep that in mind. So I'd say those two factors are going to be very important leading into the next couple of days and maybe weeks. Like I said, I want to see what the offering price is and see where things go from there. But I think if you are playing this trade is not over. It's still happening. But the key to remember to all of this is if the music starts to slow down too much, get out of the strategy.
Get the hell out.
Mess around and stay. Yeah. Essentially, somewhere along the lines, these convertible debt offerings are going to be put to a grinding halt. And when there's no more new capital coming in to support the bottom, it's almost like the Ponzi scheme ends, right? The only way the Ponzi scheme keeps working is that you're attracting new people coming into this trade and basically supporting the entire pyramid, right? So I'm never one to advocate on messing around with speculative things, because I mean, when you're investing, you have to do long-term investing. But sometimes there are opportunities where if you have some capital on the side that's more just geared towards speculation, then this is definitely one of the more interesting things that's happening. So do you have a question about this? Because I'd love to answer some questions.
No, I think you pretty much explained it in depth. I mean, the $700 million offering doesn't have a convertible price yet. And yeah, I think you pretty much said it, that at the end of the day, the music's going to stop eventually. So it's just a question of being able to time it before it stops. If you're playing this game, the other easy thing to do is just not play this game. And if you're bullish Bitcoin, then buy Bitcoin. And that's it.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the key things. The only thing is there's this community on Twitter right now that's like always posting their gains. And everyone's allowed to celebrate and post their gains. Of course, I do it too sometimes. But the thing is, what ends up happening is that leads a lot more speculation into the market, where they see other people's gains and they're like, oh, I need to get into this because I'm going to make money. And then it really shows that sometimes the speculation point ends up coming into the play. And like I said, it does lead to dramatic mispricing that could lead to giant market corrections eventually, so.
Yeah. All right, Kris. Thank you. Appreciate your thoughts.
Yeah.
On that. We'll talk to you later.
Later, dude. Take care.
Later. All right. So that's what we got in the context of Marathon. We don't have details yet on when there will be an actual convertible price on the offering. I think it probably will come out pretty soon in terms of what the price looks like. But as of now, no details yet. Google right here, 170 currently in the... Okay, my phone just fell. In the pre-markets, we got Google again that was getting investigated by the DOJ. Probably not happening in the world if Trump, when Trump gets into office. Dan Ives did say over the weekend, hey, we kind of think the big tech crusade that Lina Khan is on is not going to happen when Trump gets in. So the question is just going to be, how that plays out and when that happens. The bricks are not falling. The bricks are real, guys. The bricks can't fall as easily. That's the bricks. I got to take the bricks out myself for them to fall. All right. Palantir 67.36 right now in the pre-markets, up about 0.5%. So Palantir has this new video out with Ferrari, 8-minute video. We're going to watch it at 10 a.m. because I have a Palantir employee that was set up last night who was in the video who's going to be on the stream at 10:15. So we're going to watch the video. Really cool video. I saw it in the morning, them collaborating with Ferrari. They're kind of building an ontology live while the dude is driving. So we're going to listen to that, and then we'll have him come on the show and kind of explain what they're doing with Ferrari. In terms of the stock, 67.38 is awesome. We do have a new piece of news. I kind of said this last week, but it was updated finally on the Bloomberg terminal, which is that institutional ownership continues to go higher. 55% currently on institutional ownership for Palantir, 54.32. And this was 44 last week, or actually 2 weeks ago. So we went from 44 to 49 to 53 to 54, all within about a month. And it's pretty incredible to see this happening because, again, when everyone says who's buying Palantir right now, and I've been asking that question as well, it seems like the toots. Either they have FOMO, either they know something we don't know in terms of just either they believe in the long-term trajectory of the company, but they're the ones who are buying, in my opinion, more so than retail. I think Carp and the insiders are selling into the institutions. I think if we get the QQQ rebounds coming up in a couple of weeks, there's going to be more institutions buying, but the toots are the ones that are buying, in my opinion. And as a result, that's getting some momentum for Palantir. Now, quick thing on Palantir, Arnie made a video. I highly recommend checking out his video. Just type in Arnie Palantir on YouTube. A lot of you guys already know him already. On Palantir Weekly, we found out that Mariana in her Bank of America report said that because of the SARs, which are employee stock options that they get essentially for free based on the amount of time that they've been at the company, if the stock is above $50 for a certain period of time, Palantir will have to incur about $120 million stock-based compensation expense that could hurt the bottom line in Q4. Now, I don't know the exact accounting of this expense, but if that expense is a legitimate expense that Mariana said would result in a negative operating profit and a muted GAAP net income, meaning they would still be profitable on a GAAP basis, but it wouldn't be a quarter-over-quarter growth on a GAAP EPS basis, then Palantir theoretically can miss earnings per share going into Q4. If that happens, that would suck, and I think the headlines would get really, aggressive on Palantir, given the multiples trading at and potentially take it down. But that could be a reason why the insiders are selling so much as well, because they're like, you know what? We know that next quarter we're just not going to be profitable in the best way. And again, it's not their fault. It's because they didn't expect Palantir to get to $50. They probably thought this expense would happen 5 years from now, but this expense they're having to incur right now. So either they grow substantially in Q4 and the revenue and operating income they get from the actual business outpaces the expense they have to incur, or they have modest growth, the expense gives them a hit on the bottom line, and potentially that is the headline you could see going into Q4. I have no idea how that's going to play out, but that is something that Mariana is warning investors to think about, because if that, is a headline, that headline could be bad, and that could take Palantir down. But as of now, as we're seeing in the pre-market, the market doesn't care for Palantir. 9:30, Monday, December 2nd. Thank you, everybody, for being here. The stock market is now open. Wake your ass up. Here we go. Monday morning, back in action, baby. Stock market is once again open. 67.11 on Palantir, getting a little bit of a red candle from the pre-markets. Very weird, dude. Pumped really hard in the pre-markets and now kind of getting sold off. We've seen this happen many times, and then it tends to come back later in the day. But again, we'll see kind of what happens with Palantir. 66.95 right now in the pre-market is down about 30 basis points. Robinhood, 38.29, up 2%. Makes sense. Crypto is doing well. Ripple is doing well. Robinhood now allows you to buy Ripple on their platform. Market's getting excited for that. They also have an investor day this week that I will be at, and whatever they announce at that investor day, you're going to have a lot of analysts that might issue some upgrades, might get more excited about the company based on what they say. So that's one thing to watch out for later this week as they have their investor day. SMCI opens up 15% higher, 37.64. They were audited by a committee. That committee said they did no wrongdoing. That's why SMCI is currently up 15%. Intel up 3% because Pat Gelsinger is gone from the company. He's gone from the board of directors, gone as CEO. And it must suck to see the stock go up after you leave, but nonetheless, that's what's happening. Kind of the same thing that happened with Starbucks. Rocket Lab up 2%, 27.84. NVIDIA 138.69, up about 30 bips. S&P 500 new all-time high, 6,003 for the S&P. QQQ as well. All-time high was 515, currently at 511, so trying to get back there. SoFi, they got upgraded by JP Morgan to $16. They got upgraded by Jefferies to $19 last Thursday. So you got SoFi getting some momentum right here. Tesla at 356. Tesla up another 3% again. Tesla gapped up on Friday after hours. They were up last night in Robinhood overnight trading. Makes sense that Tesla is going higher. Why? Because FSD 13 is rolling out. People are saying it's magical, and the street is betting that autonomy is going to be one of the best businesses in the world. 355 currently on Tesla, up 3% right now. Robinhood 38.32. We did touch 38.40. Not bad for the hood. Novix is up 1.84%. Enphase getting some love, up 2.12% right now. Salesforce, they have earnings this week. This is time for Mark Benioff to kind of show off that he has the agent force on lock and that it's actually leading to reoccurring revenues and accelerating growth. So Salesforce is going to be a big one this week. Apple right here. Wow. Apple's trying to touch 240. Holy crap. Goodness gracious. Apple is trying to touch 240. Put in the chat if you bought an Apple product over the Black Friday, Thanksgiving weekend. Put in the chat. Let's see how many people actually bought anything from Apple. I got a new Mac last week and some AirPods, but I didn't do anything this weekend. But I guess the market's betting on Black Friday sales being good for Apple. Salesforce right here at 333. Archer is down 7%. That makes sense. Archer was up like 40% last week. I think it makes sense that it's probably taking a little bit of a breather. So Archer right here down 6%. Hims got upgraded to $38 by Canaccord Genuity, I believe is the name of the firm. They upgraded them from 28 to 38. We'll read the report in a second, but they think the growth is just amazing. Hims right here at $33. They're up 2.87% currently right now. And then Nubank got downgraded by Citi. Nubank down 6%. I think this downgrade is kind of weird. Basically, they said, hey, Brazil is not accelerating as fast as we thought. The valuation is too rich. Take your profits. And I guess maybe towards the end of the year, you get a lot of these firms issuing warnings to their clients about taking profits before the end of the year if they think some stocks have run up too much, or this guy just doesn't understand the business too well. I think it's a fair argument to say Brazilian acceleration is going down, and that's their biggest market. Therefore, it's a little bit expensive. But I also think their top line growth is just phenomenal in Nubank. And, I'm not a buyer yet on the dip. I have to do more research on the company, but I definitely like Nubank. And I think, a year or 2 years from now, $11 is probably not going to be the worst deal for Nubank. Square is up right now because Bernstein named them the top choice for 2025. Square was named the top choice for 2025 by Bernstein. They're up 5% right here. We'll read their sell side report in a second, but that's why this one is probably up 5% currently right now. Okay, a bunch of you said you actually bought some stuff from Apple. There you go. A bunch of you in the chat saying, yep, you bought an Apple Watch, new iPhone 16. All right, so if that's the case, then, look, I think that's the only reason it's up right now. There's no headlines around Apple. I think it's up considerably from 2 weeks ago because the street's thinking that Q4 is going to be great for Apple in terms of sale, and that'll lead to some stronger growth. Hims right here at 33.52. Hims is now 4%. Archer's down 10%. Nubank's down 5.4%. Oklo is down 1.6%. ASTS is down or is up 1.64%. Shopify is down 2.2%. So Shopify down, even though they reported some good numbers. Street's taking some profits. Shopify was up 30% over the past 2 weeks. So kind of makes sense that that's taking a little bit of a breather, but that one's down. Upstart is down 9%. Why is Upstart down 9%? That is weird. But Upstart is down 9%. Where's Grab? I did publish my full DD on Grab. Grab is out 1%. I put it on Twitter. I'm not going to go through the whole thing right now, but on Twitter, you can just link is in the description. You can scroll through my latest posts like from 2 days ago. And I published my entire DD on Grab. Overall, getting more bullish on it. I like the founder. Fun fact, he kind of gave up his entire, I guess not so fun fact, he gave up his entire relationship with his dad to build Grab because his dad wanted him to take over his own business. He said, no, Dad, I want to go chase my dreams. There's a lot to the founder that I'm really liking. And then the actual business itself, dude, they have $6 billion in cash, $20 billion market cap. Every 60 cents per share you're buying is basically cash. So I think it's setting up for a good story as long as they can continue to increase EBITDA margins and profitability. So that's what we got on Grab right there at $5.06. Tesla right here, 356. We did touch 358 on Tesla, still up 3.2%. Tesla, where was the all-time high this year? We touched 361. Okay, so we're kind of close to that 52-week high, 361.93. Not too far away to break that. And if you break that, you got a lot of technical people saying, hey, 300 or 400 doesn't look that crazy on the charts if it can get some of the buying momentum. Serve is up 10% right now. SERV, Serve Robotics, that one's up 10%. Oh, Symbiotic, let's look at that one. These guys are up 5%. They didn't file their 10K. I was talking to a couple of people who are into the stock. They said it's a nothing burger. They said it's not that big of a deal. But that one was down like 30% last week. Now it's up currently 5% right now. Maybe it pulls off a little bit of an SMCI. SMCI is up 13%. It was up 20%, now up 13%, but still getting some momentum after getting audited with no wrongdoings. Target down 1%. Google's up 1%. PayPal's flat. Citigroup's up 0.5%. JP Morgan's down a little bit. Some of the crypto names are pretty much green. Actually, no, they're all down. Wow, Marathon's down 6%. See, this is so weird, dude. Bitcoin is above where it was at this morning. And Marathon, because of that premium that it trades at, is actually down 5%. Where's MicroStrategy? MSTR is slightly green. 390. CleanSpark, they're going to have earnings today. They're up a little bit. Bitcoin, 96,000. Robinhood, 37.94. Bitfarms is down. Cypher, Iran, Hut, and then Riot are all down currently on the day. Coinbase is up 1.782% right now. XRP is at $2.54. I am up $112 on my XRP, up 75%. And I need to know from the chat if I should take some profits and go get a really nice breakfast. Dude, I bought XRP on Wednesday because Steve kept bugging me about it. And I was like, Steve, you can't say anything. I'm a shareholder or a coin holder, whatever you call it. And I'm in XRP. So I'm not going to lie, bro. $112 is $112. That's a lot of money, especially if this thing is running for no reason. I would love to make me $112 in a couple of days. But I'm going to be really mad if this stupid thing goes to $5. But like the market cap, dude, it's already worth $140 billion. Like, is XRP really going to $1 trillion? Is that happening? Like, I don't know. And I'm saying this out of pure ignorance. So for all the XRP bulls, you can laugh at me if you think I'm stupid right now. But like, I don't know. Does it go to $1 trillion? Like, does it really outperform Bitcoin and Ethereum? Does it really happen? Or will I lose my $110 that I'm currently up right now? Grindr yearly subscription is $112. I hate you so much. Maybe I need to contribute to them just so Grindr does well. Where's Grindr? It was at 15 last time I checked. We are at 15.14, baby. How much am I up on Grindr? I am up 1,500 shares at $14, even though 500 shares is going to get called away at 15 if I don't roll these contracts. We're up $1,500. We're up 7% on Grindr. Not bad. Not bad for a Grindr. Square right here up 6%, really getting some love. Apple at 239, also getting some love. Intel up 2%, kind of a muted reaction. Look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA's trying to get back to 140, 139.83 right here. Tesla at 355. Where is Palantir? Did we get back to 67? Palantir 66.80. All right, Palantir's getting hit. Palantir's been going flat for the past couple of weeks. I think Palantir is going to continue to be flat unless there is a major catalyst. One of those catalysts might be the QQQ rebounds that could happen December 13th. But I think it's healthy for Palantir to be flat right now and for it to normalize $60 or at this point $65. But again, any catalyst could take this to another level. The question is just going to be, what is that catalyst? And maybe that catalyst is the NASDAQ rebounds. So that could happen. Hey, Mick, can you speak on CrowdStrike? Look, I love CrowdStrike. I think they were an absolute steal at $200 back in July when they fell because of a mistake they made. A lot of people said they were dead. They're back here at 339. The reason they're down 2% right now is because their guidance for Q4 wasn't amazing, but their overall growth was exceptional. And so if you're buying CrowdStrike, you're buying it for the long-term growth of cybersecurity. I don't know if you need to buy CrowdStrike or Palo Alto Network. I think Hack, which is a cybersecurity ETF, you could also just buy that and get your cyber exposure. If you're only buying it for cybersecurity, if you really believe in CrowdStrike, which, look, their growth gives you something to believe in, even if the valuation is up there, then this name also is not the worst name in the world. In terms of it being expensive, yeah, at a price to sales of 22 and a PE of 670, it is expensive. But CrowdStrike has always been expensive. In fact, the only time it got cheap, and when I mean cheap, I mean 2019 levels of cheap when they IPO'd, was in July when it fell all the way to $200. And it fell only because of like a bug that, kind of stopped the world for a little bit. So I don't know if CrowdStrike's ever going to really get cheap. It's always going to be a stock that trades at a high multiple, kind of like Palantir. Palantir right back up to $67, not bad. And so that's kind of the mindset you have to think of if you're getting into CrowdStrike. Bank of America's down a little bit. Small caps are down a little bit. Snowflake down about 1/3%. We got the cruise lines. Look at that. Carnival Cruise up 3.78%. So cruise lines are getting some love right now. Fortinet also, that's another cybersecurity name that got a lot of love. Look at this at 96. It was at $60 a couple months ago. So this one caught up with CrowdStrike and Palo Alto in terms of broader growth. What's up with Archer? I have no idea why it's down, but I mean, it went up 40% last week. So it makes sense that people are taking profits. Remember, guys, this is a pre-revenue company. They don't have any earnings. When we looked up their earnings 2 weeks ago, I was like, where's the revenue number? And then I realized, wait a second, they don't make any revenue, right? So when you buy these names, you have to be ready for the volatility. It's part of the reason, I don't have a lot of these names. It's like, you kind of just don't want to deal with some of that volatility. But if you're buying these names, you're buying potential. You're not even buying growth. You're buying potential to one day have growth. And there's some signals that can show you that they're going to have growth, like the $6 billion of purchase orders that they have. But you're not literally buying any actual earnings yet. But eventually, if you believe in Archer, then I believe that could do very well. Palantir 6750 breaking out. So Palantir, same thing that it always does. Opens weak, goes down about 1 or 2%, and then rebounds within 10-15 minutes. Volume is already 7 million on Palantir. Market cap 153 billion, 6750 right now. Let me check 68 resistance and see how bad that is. But you are seeing Palantir get a little bit of love. 68 resistance. And again, we'll have a Palantir employee join the show in about 40 minutes, and he's going to talk about the new collaboration with Ferrari. 68 has 118,000 shares. Okay, so a decent amount of shares. Not crazy, but there is a decent amount that we are going to be looking at for Palantir. NCLH is up 5%. You got Royal Caribbean. That is up another 1.5%. And Carnival Cruise is up about 4.25%. So the cruises are doing well this morning. Apple here at 238. Where is Amazon? Amazon is 210. Amazon 1.29%. Amazon up currently 1% of the day and up, a nice 20% from the lows a couple weeks ago. Nubank is down again. They got downgraded. That's why Nubank is currently down right now at $11. Robinhood 38.40, not bad. Robinhood pushing along. I think Robinhood wants 40. I think Robinhood wants 40 this year. I really do. That's why I'm not selling covered calls on Robinhood. I think there is a decent shot up 2.3% right now. Bitcoin holds its momentum. We're getting towards the end of the year. We get another rate cut. We get a good jobs report. We have the investor day coming up. We get November metrics next week. I think those metrics are going to be pretty incredible in terms of the growth that they saw on the platform in November. There is a decent shot that we might get 40. At least I think. We got close to, we got to 39.30 or something. So that's why I was buying at 37. I think 40 is on the way. And again, dude, I still think it's cheap. $33 billion market cap. $5 billion in cash, $27 billion enterprise value, actually showing growth at 36%. I think there is some value there on Hood. Are you going to the investor day? Yes, I'll be going to the investor day. Me, Tanner, Roy, TJ, a bunch of us are going to be there. So you guys will get some good content from us at the investor day, and we will be checking it out. ELF is down 5%. Not sure why ELF is down, but this one has been very volatile all year. ELF right here is down currently 5%. Is the Stellantis CEO quitting bad for Archer? So there is a connection between Stellantis and Archer, right? I need you guys to remind me what the connection is, because I feel like either they invested in Archer or there's some deal that they have. Archer now down at a whopping 15%. The Stellantis CEO did drop out. I'm acting like they dropped out of college. They stepped down on Saturday, but I don't know exactly what the connection is with Archer. But that could also be a reason why Archer's down if they have a deal together. Do you think they will leak any big products on an investor day? I think they're going to leak their vision. I think Robinhood's going to give a 10-year vision for the company. That's usually what happens at investor days. Wow, Palantir 67.85. Holy crap. We have not touched 68 ever, folks. Have we ever? No, we never touched 68. So this would be a ring the bell. If we get 68, this would be a ring the bell. I think Robinhood's going to give their vision for the next 10 years. Maybe they talk a little bit more about the betting markets, futures, index options, and stuff like that. But I don't think we necessarily get a brand new product, but probably a vision for what their products will look like over the coming years. They invested. Okay, that's what I thought. They invested. So if Stellantis invested in Archer, I don't think the CEO stepping down is a big deal because the company is still invested in Archer. There would just need to be a new CEO who believes in their vision with Archer. But I don't know if that's necessarily the reason why Archer is selling off right here. Square is up 7%. Look at that. That's what happens when Bernstein names you the top pick of 2025. You go up 7%. So you got Square getting some momentum. And then you got S&P still at 602, Palantir 6783, fighting for that 68, which would put it basically at $155 billion market cap. Grinder 1526 up 1.5%, Royal Caribbean up 2%, Amazon 211, Robinhood 38010, and then Palantir 6779. Where's XRP? Is XRP still going up? XRP, wow, it's up 8%, $2.64. Goodness gracious, dude. Also, there is a rumor that Wisdom Tree, which is a big money manager, is, well, it's not a rumor, they filed. They're filing for an XRP ETF. An XRP ETF, which means, yeah, they officially filed their S1 for a spot XRP ETF. If that happens, yeah, you have a little bit more institutionalization of the currency or of the crypto. Now, granted, Ethereum has ETFs, and the Ethereum ETFs suck. Like, no one buys the Ethereum ETFs. They barely get any inflows. The Bitcoin ETFs do very well. Ethereum ETFs do not do well. Maybe if XRP, gets this institutionalized ETF, you get more people buying into XRP, but the overall momentum has to be exciting for XRP to do well. So there's XRP right here, 262 over the past week. It's up 85%. Past month, it's up 420%. And past 3 months, it's up 385%. So yeah, this one's definitely getting some momentum. Again, I don't know if this is a pump and it might dump. I don't know if this is real. I have no idea what's happening with XRP. But if you're in it, you are probably happy right now. Palantir right here, 67.55 currently right now. Oracle drop. Is Oracle dipping right now? Oracle, I don't know. There's really a dip. I mean, 183. Oracle's still up like 50% this year. 183 from 196. I don't know if that's a dip. If you're buying Oracle, you're buying into a long-term data center build-out vision along with their core software business. But this is not really a dip, in my opinion, from the highs at 196. I don't think anything's a dip right now, dude. In this market, what is it? Nothing's a dip. Like even Grab, which I love at $5, this thing is still up 50% year to date. So this is not really a dip, right? Grab at like 450 is more of a dip. Grab at $5 is buying close to 52-week highs. So there's not really that many dips that are out there. There's really not. And that's because money continues to chase all these names that have any little bit of a dip. Rocket Lab right here, down about 5% after going up 4% in the pre-markets. 25.92. Banks are down today. Costco's down a little bit. Where's Netflix? They were almost touching 1,000 last week. Netflix back to 897. They did get upgraded to 1,000 by two firms. I am really looking forward to Squid Game 2, December 26th. I don't binge a lot of shows, but that show I will definitely binge. So excited for that one. Should bring them more subscribers and should be a tailwind going into Q4 for Netflix. Upstart is 10% down. Yeah, I don't know why Upstart is down, but Upstart is indeed down. Let's see if there's any news update on Upstart. Upstart should be doing well right now as we have rates coming down. They got, wow, another downgrade. And the logic by JP Morgan is that they're running too fast. We've seen this happen with Grab. We've seen this happen with Upstart. We saw this happen with Archer today. We are downgrading Upstart to underweight and increasing our December 2025 price target to 57 from 45. We expect the third-party funding environment to improve in 2025. We note Upstart was doing $13 billion in annualized origination volume, with shares trading at 9 times forward sales. They are saying that the growth appears to be more than priced in at current levels. So you're getting more institutional money managers towards the end of the year basically saying, hey, we think stocks are expensive. You should take your profits. Oh, same thing that happened with Nubank today. Citibank said, hey, it's priced for perfection right here. It's time to take profits. I guess this is what happens towards the end of the year. I don't remember this happening a lot last year, but then again, last year we didn't have these crazy pumps in terms of different stocks. We were just beginning to get into 2024 as a bull market. But I guess because certain names are elevated, you got fund managers or analysts telling fund managers that it might be time to take profits here because things are priced in pretty well. Now, no one's saying that about Palantir, except like Brent Phil at Jefferies. But outside of that, everyone's, Mariana and Dan are saying, nope, 75, we're going higher. So they're not necessarily saying that about Palantir. What is your target for Grab in 2025? I don't know in 2025. I think $10 by 2027 is reasonable. I think that's 2 years for a double, which is a very good return some people are acting like that's not a good return. I'm like, that's phenomenal. In 2 years, if this thing goes to $10, that'll be a $40 billion market cap. But I do think there's momentum baked into the stock in 2025 if they continue to remain profitable and increase their EBITDA margins. If they can just do that, I think they're going to get a lot of people to get excited. One thing to remember about Grab is there's 4 billion shares outstanding. So you're not going to get wild moves because there's a lot of shares out there, which I kind of like because it keeps the price kind of stable for a bit and I can like actually develop my position. But in general, this is not a stock with a small float. And so you're going to need big growth numbers for it to go up. But I think those numbers are headed in the right direction going into 2025. SoFi is going green. SoFi right here, SoFi's red. It was green, 1636. Now it's red, 1661 down to 1636. SoFi is like a couple $100 million away from getting eligible to be in the S&P 500. So basically it has to be around $16.80, and then it has the market cap requirement to be in the S&P 500. So you would need 6 months of trading above 1680. So call it $17. If it can hold 17, then by the second half of 2025, they will be eligible to be included into the S&P 500, but it has to hold above 17. MicroStrategy at 389, Intel at 2488 still up, and then NVIDIA right back to 140. NVIDIA currently green right now. Is autonomous driving not a threat to Grab because of the traffic over there? Yeah, I mean, autonomous driving in Southeast Asia is not a thing because it's just like, it's very hard for any autopilot FSD ecosystem to be relevant or to be easy enough to navigate itself inside of those areas. I mean, I just came back from India. There's just no way. There's just no way that's happening, right? So I think FSD is not a threat. I don't think Tesla's a threat. I think at the end of the day, people use Grab for a lot of products, a lot of services, a lot of food delivery, et cetera. Like autonomous vehicles are not doing that. Also, Tesla's not really that relevant in that region because people don't have the disposable income to buy a Tesla. Nonetheless, Tesla is not trained on the data from that region because there's not a lot of Teslas there. So Tesla's got to figure out how to nail it in California and Texas before they even think of going to Malaysia. And even in Singapore, like people don't even own cars in Singapore, right? There's not that big of a culture there of owning your own vehicle. So I think it's going to be a little tougher for Tesla to be a threat. And by the time they become a threat in 10 years, Grab is going to have so many different diversified business streams like banking and loans and their advertising business that I think it won't matter that much. Google right here up 1% currently. NVIDIA at 140, Q's at 513, S&P 500 currently green at 602, Tesla 355. So Tesla chilling out in that 350 level, not going too much higher, but it is up currently 2.87% right now. Where is Palantir? Palantir 66.90, Palantir going down. So you got people selling at that $67 level that it was trying to break just now. Robinhood going down a little bit as well, 37.71, but still green. Rocket Lab, wow, 8%. Got a nice red candle right there from $28. Seeing a bit of a sell-off across the entire board in some of these names. Is HIMS red? HIMS is officially red. HIMS is down 1%. There you go. Anything on KULR? Okay, so this name, I personally, this is the last time I'm going to talk about it. The reason this is the last time I'm going to talk about this name is because I found out who the CEO is. And this is what the dude is tweeting this morning, okay? So please don't ever ask me about this name. If it goes to $10, God bless. I hope everyone makes a lot of money. But this is what the guy is tweeting. Had a great time with Space Investor D today on an X Space. Thank you for everyone who attended. We remain dedicated to recognizing and supporting our loyal diamond-handed community. I'm sorry, dude, but when you're trading at a $300 million market cap up like 200% in a week, and you're talking about your diamond-handed community, and then you're putting out a poll saying, hey, should we adopt a Bitcoin treasury strategy? I'm sorry. To me, it doesn't look good. It doesn't. It's a red flag on top of a red flag. I am not interested in this name. I don't like penny stocks already. And then when the CEO is talking about, hey, should we buy Bitcoin? Asking his retail audience and saying we love your diamond hands. I don't know, dude. That's just not the professional thing you want to see. Not in my opinion. So if you're in this name, again, I think a lot of you in this name don't even know what the name does. It's just going up a lot. For those that really understand the company, I hope you do very well. I know it's something to do with battery technology, but a lot of people are speculating getting into this name because they think it's just going to go to the moon. I think this is not the type of stuff you want to see in a healthy bull market. Nonetheless, some of this stuff is happening, and you just got to be careful. You just really, really got to be careful with these names. I mean, Archer, if anything, is the exact example. Archer's down 18% right now. You know, it was up 40% last week, right? These are names that just don't have a lot of earnings, and they're trading on sentiment, and sentiment can switch any second. Doesn't Elon do the same? Yeah, but Tesla does $100 billion of revenue per year. That's there's a difference, right? Tesla has earned the right because they actually have real profits and are building real products and are an international global company for Elon to say whatever the hell he wants. Tesla's created $1 trillion of shareholder value. Color is trying to get a retail army to just buy the stock. And whenever that happens, it's always a little bit scary when that stuff plays out. So that's just a little bit different. All right, so that's what we have right there on that name. Krupa says, I'm tempted to buy Tesla, more cash to invest. Look, I'm tempted to buy Tesla too, but I'd rather just sell puts on it as well. If you have the disposable income to sell puts at like 300, I don't think that's horrible either. Do I see it going back to 300? No, I think their momentum is starting to really heat up, especially with optimists, but I do think put premiums are not the worst in the world. And if you do get a sign, then boom, you have some more Tesla shares. SLG is green. ET is green. We're seeing a lot of the value stocks go green. Verizon is green. Joby is down 10% along with Archer. Nike is green right now, and Microsoft as well, down about 0.5% currently right now. Where is Meta? By the way, Meta now has 300 million users on Threads. Meta's up about 2% right here. I believe they are going to monetize the crap out of Threads in 2025, and that's going to be a new business line for Meta. 300 million users is not a small amount. 1 million people sign up per day to the platform. Even if you and I don't use it, 1 million people are signing up every day because they're probably infiltrated with Instagram push notifications to sign up for it. And Meta's growing an audience there. So I think from a monetization perspective, that's going to be very important for Meta next year. Rocket Lab officially now down almost 10%, 8.94% currently right now. Wow. Nubank's down 8%. Rocket Lab's down 8%. Archer's down 18%. Joby's down 10%. So you got a lot of these names, and HIMS is down 2% after being up 5%. HIMS now down 0.5%. All of them getting a little bit of a hit. All of them getting a little bit of a hit. Amit, do you post on Threads? I don't post on Threads. I looked at the platform last night. I really don't like it. I enjoy using X. Also, I mean, dude, there's a certain level of censorship there around politics, and that's how they keep it advertising friendly. It's just not the platform that I would like to be on. Speaking of politics, by the way, Joe Biden officially pardoned his son, Hunter Biden. So that came out yesterday. Joe Biden did say a couple months ago that he would not be issuing a pardon for his son. He would let the Justice Department take place. He claims that this is a political reason for why Hunter was prosecuted in the first place. He writes, the charges in his cases came out only after several of my political opponents in Congress instigated them to attack me and oppose my election. And therefore, he has issued an unconditional pardon for his son, Hunter Biden. So that's what you got coming from Joe Biden. All right, let's hear from the professor, Jeremy Siegal. He thinks the S&P 500 can do well in 2025. Here's what he's thinking currently right now about the White House, the S&P 500, inflation, the 10-year, all of that good stuff. We will be having a Palantir employee join in about 15 minutes to discuss their collaboration with Ferrari. We're going to watch the Ferrari video after we hear from the professor.
In the markets on this final trading month of the year, we want to bring in Jeremy Siegal. He is Professor Emeritus of Finance at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business. He's also Chief Economist at Wisdom Tree. And Jeremy, I don't know if you just heard that conversation. I'm going to assume you did. How would you weigh in on this, just in terms of what the market knows, what the market anticipates, what we should be expecting from policy in the incoming Trump administration?
Yeah. Good morning, Becky. I know Joe has been asking about what's going on with the 10-year. If you remember, on the day of the election, the 10-year really jumped by almost 20 basis points. I think that was a shot across the bow saying to Trump, be careful of all the tax cuts. Now, I think that the market will certainly accept an extension of the 2017 tax cuts. But remember, Trump really promised a lot more, and it really started turning around, Becky, as you said, when Scott Bessent was, basically nominated as the Secretary of Treasury, because he's known as someone that takes a reasonable stance on the deficit. The deficit is a long-term problem. I don't think it's short-term, but if every single one of Trump's promises on tax cuts does take place, I think that's going to pressure the bond market. And I think Scott's nomination really was the start of taking that pressure off.
Well, probably.
And again, Scott Bessent is very pro-crypto. So the crypto markets love that he's the Treasury Secretary as well.
Also recognizing that incoming President Trump cares about the market's reaction to and uses it as a measuring stick of kind of a report card.
Absolutely. No other president uses the stock market more then President Trump. I'd also like to comment on, this recent Trump tweet, if you would want to call it, about 100% tariffs on the BRIC countries if they start a new currency. I find that really curious because really I think the biggest threat to the dollar being used as a reserve currency is Bitcoin, which we all hear, Trump is a big supporter of. So it seems a little bit strange to tell them don't produce an alternative reserve currency when really Bitcoin is, being talked about by many countries in the world as their alternative currency, some of them getting rid of gold and going into Bitcoin. So I'm a little curious on how that's going to play itself out once we hear all the details.
Well,
so, I mean, again, you got the professor basically saying, hey, maybe inflation will be an issue. Maybe it won't be an issue. Maybe Trump is using this as a bargaining tactic. The 10-year so far is not reflecting that widespread tariffs are going to be some massive, massive inflationary event, because the 10-year would be much higher than 4.23% if they thought that was the case. So maybe the market genuinely believes that Trump is negotiating with these tariffs. We're going to find out. We're going to find out in the next few months after he officially takes office, and going to kind of see how the market is interpreting it. Tesla right here at 354, Palantir 67.13, SoFi 16.17, Grab right here at $5.02, Meta 5.87, Hims at 32.51, Robin at 37.99, Amazon 2.12. Amazon getting some nice love today, up about 2%. And you've got the S&P currently right here at 603. Now, what is important, which is what Jeremy Siegal is saying, is that the S&P is at all-time highs. You got a president who basically believes that the S&P 500 is his personal report card, which is bullish for investors because, you kind of want the president to care about the markets. And if he does care about the markets and the markets tend to go down and the markets take a little bit of a hiccup, you can imagine that Trump is going to try to get the markets to do better. And I think that's also another reason why the markets are pricing in more growth and giving them some more momentum. All right, cool. All right, so let's talk about Palantir. We are going to have a Palantir employee join in approximately 8 minutes and talk about their latest collaboration with Ferrari. But before we do that, Palantir just unveiled a really sick video this morning. It's about 8 minutes, and it's a really nice action-packed video of a Palantir employee that you guys probably know, Jack Dobson. He did the AIPCon halftime show with me, building an ontology live while someone is driving in a simulation with Ferrari. Really cool stuff. Here's the video. Let's take a look at it, and then we'll have Jack come on the show and kind of talk about how they're working with Ferrari.
First sector, pushing flat out. I love this first sector. It's probably one of my favorite part of this track. I'm basically building out sort of the scaffolding, the framework that will take your data and then build it into the application that I'm putting together. I mean, this is 8 minutes of work, right? So yeah, but that's so impressive. Well, welcome everyone to Austin, and welcome to Charles Leclerc. How are you doing? Very good, thank you. Great, thank you so much for joining us. We're here to talk about Palantir and Scuderia Ferrari, partners in ultimate performance. What does ultimate performance mean to you? Everything is about ultimate performance in Formula One, and about how fast you are on track, and at the end it's all down to how quickly you make the decisions. That's the difference between winning and losing, right? So for you out on track with the team behind you, with all that communication, how does that all come together for you? Like, what does that mean to kind of make the right decision at the right time? I mean, it's a huge part of our job. The race is from 55 to 70 laps, but at the end, the critical parts in a race are very few. And if you do the wrong decision or with the wrong timings, as you said, it's the difference between winning a race and losing a race. We're going to kind of put that to the test today. We're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to showcase that speed and what that means in terms of performance in sort of both of our respective fields. We want to have you running a session on the sim, going around the track. I'm going to be over here on the laptop, building out a workflow that's actually going to build on top of the telemetry that you generate during your session. We're going to have 5 laps on the sim, and then we'll go ahead and review and have a look at how it all comes together. Everyone's recording? Okay, right. Charles, you ready? I'm ready. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. I'm going to start out by building out the geometric track within my ontology so we can actually map your telemetry to that track once I get it. This is going to be pretty critical later because that's going to allow me to actually start mapping events and other sensors, telemetry, all to that same track.
So do you have all the live data at the moment?
I'm going to have the live data when you're done. I'm basically building out the scaffolding, the framework that will take your data and then build it into the application that I'm putting together.
Oh, I like this.
I've gone ahead and actually built out the track in the platform. So now I've got a view of the line around the track. I've got the various sectors, the corners, all mapped within that ontology, breaking out the different sensors from that telemetry. So we're actually going to have our brake pressure, our velocity, our G-forces, and of course the location of the car around the track. And that's going to allow us to basically show this trending over time. The next step is actually to build out the structure of how we're going to take telemetry from the sim and start mapping it to the track and also into logic. So I've got the visualization of the track, I've got the pipeline for your telemetry. I'm going to get deep into writing some logic. We're actually going to build logic in two parts here. We're going to have some logic that's basically going to look at the telemetry itself and actually review, okay, what is the change lap to lap? And then we're also going to do a visual analysis as well to basically get a sense of your line across each of those laps. So there's probably going to be some variations. Do you often vary the line between laps or is it pretty consistent?
No, I do vary actually, and I try different things. So this is going to be super interesting to see the analysis. That's a good lap.
That's the one.
That's the lap to analyze.
What are the areas of improvement we've seen so far? Like where
braking probably is the phase of the corner that I want to improve the most.
So we're in lap 3, which means I need to hurry up through my logic that's going to basically generate the insights from this session. The next stage is actually to then basically build that output of the logic into the ontology, build an application on top. Is this something you would typically do after a session, right? Like go back into the pit, look at the data, work out areas?
All the time. That's basically all I do during a race weekend. It's draw.
So that's interesting as well for Charles to say that after a race, he looks at the data to try to figure out how he can get better. That shows that they're actually trying to use the data that Palantir is creating for them to improve, right? Which is the whole point of this collaboration and ultimately for them to hopefully win more races.
The car register all the data and then I analyze the data as quickly as possible when I get out the car because it's super important because we have very little time available.
Yeah. 100%.
So we've got to be on it. But I'm looking forward to this analysis that I'll have.
You are on lap 4. I need to hurry through deploying some of this logic. Okay, so logic is now applied to my ontology. I'm going to use that as a set of building blocks with which to actually build an application. So you can actually review what I've done within the platform.
Last 2 corners.
Last few seconds. Time to deploy my first application. This is taking everything I've built so far, the structure for the telemetry, the pipelining, the geometry of the track, the logic I've built on top of that ontology, all built into an application you can actually use to drive decisions.
That's the last lap. It's money time now.
And how are we looking? Final corner. Okay, app deployed, and done. We're there. Well, just in time, I've gone ahead and deployed, so I think we're good to do some review. Few different steps to this. So we started off by building out pipeline for your data. So basically this is the pipeline that's going to take the telemetry from your session and actually start translating it into the format where we can actually build what we call a time series, basically like a trace of the data over time, but it's all built into an ontology. So it's like a digital twin of you, the car, the session as a whole. That all means we can actually start mapping that together and actually generating insights at different parts of the lap, right? So, I mean, is this kind of similar? How would you guys look at data when you're coming off the track?
Exactly like that. So we will zoom into this telemetry and take the conclusions ourselves.
But this is the joy of it. So you talked about taking conclusions yourself. Rather than just kind of sitting here and looking at all of this, what I actually wanted to do is build some logic on top of this. So we can basically automatically derive some insights from it. Right?
And have the conclusion straight away.
The end result is something like this. We've now got these notes on the left. So I can actually click in and I can kind of dive into, okay, which corner did this occur at? And you're going to get some insights on different areas you can improve, right? So you've got things like braking consistency, exit optimization, even like some mid-sector gear change advice.
I'll go with turn 1. Turn 1 braking consistency. I was speaking a lot about braking. During the session, there was noticeable variability in braking points for turn 1. On laps 2 and 4, braking was slightly later compared to other laps, resulting in a wider entry and compromised exit speed. From the next session, aim to establish a consistent braking marker to maintain optimal entry and exit speeds. Consider using the 100-meter board as a reference point. Awesome. That is very, very impressive because that's exactly the conclusion I had while I was driving in the way that I was very inconsistent with my braking. So this makes perfect sense.
I mean, this is 8 minutes of work, right? So
but that's so impressive. So when I get out of the car, I have a particular feeling. And But I always try and find the double confirmation of what I
Yeah,
felt in
like
the
does
car.
the data map to what you were feeling?
Exactly.
The next stage of this would be to actually like build on top of it, maybe allow you to give feedback, actually sort of tune the model over time. You could even start to do real-time analysis on like your radio. So if you have like real-time radio messages coming in, transcribe it, map it to that broader ontology we built, allows you basically as you come out the car, you're already going to have some insights. That's basically
That's amazing. I love it.
We can build on top of that foundation that we built in literally the last 8 minutes or so, 5 laps worth of racing. And then we can build from there, whether it's adding audio, video analysis, other sensors, other telemetry. This is just a starting point, right? But
That's
hopefully
really,
it's
really,
useful.
I mean, that's super impressive. Really, really impressive. To have those conclusions so early, it's gain time.
Well, hey, maybe some of this will be helpful for this weekend. You never know.
This for
Something to
sure.
think about.
This for sure. I'll take that into account.
Well, Charles, 5 laps on the sim, 8 minutes of building. We were trying to show ultimate performance. What do we think? Do we think we did it?
I think we did. And it was super, super impressive to see that in only like 8 minutes, you got to conclusions so quickly. And those conclusions were right and were matching my feelings while I was driving. To have
All right, folks, there you go. Let's get the employee who was building that ontology live with Charles onto the show. I know this guy. Jack, what's up?
Hey everyone, how are you doing? Amit, great to see you. It's been a while. It's been a good few weeks, months. How long's it been?
It's been a few months, but you are kind of taken off as a little bit of an internal Palantir celebrity. You're hosting all the AIPCon halftime shows. You're interviewing Sham at DevCon. You're now with Charles. I mean, you're kind of doing your thing here at Palantir.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been a busy year. Honestly, if anything, it just makes me more excited for 2025. The only way is up. But yeah, honestly, I think the thing that excites me most, as you well know, is still getting the opportunity to build a lot of these experiences as well. So for people, I'm sure there are some people watching who maybe got the chance to attend DevCon. I'm sure lots of people have watched some of the talks. But what excites me just as much, if not more, than getting to be sort of on camera, on stage, stuff like that, is actually sort of building these experiences. So that's building AIPCon, as you know, like you and I, late into the night before, sort of putting that together. And then same for DevCon, literally kind of doing this all again for the first time. And then coming right up to this video, which has been in the works for a while, but yeah, building it right there and then in those crucial 8 minutes. It was quite an experience. So I'm still enjoying doing a lot of the building, but yeah, doing a little bit of the camera stuff is fun as well.
So what did we just watch in that video? You were building an ontology live and adding a data pipeline and all this stuff as he was driving. But can you explain what exactly you were trying to build based on him driving, and where exactly do the insights come in for the driver themselves?
Exactly. It's a great question. So basically the way it works is, and I sort of allude to this a little bit in the video when I talk about kind of building the scaffolding for his data, sort of the framework that his data will feed into. Basically, the way it works is that sim, which was obviously there, and we actually ran the whole session, or the 5-lap session, twice, just for the sake of filming, but we actually did the build twice as well. It basically meant that then, as soon as he's done on the sim, all of the telemetry, and this is obviously, it's a simulator program, but all the telemetry from that session can be ported over the network to my laptop. So I do actually have the data. We had a couple of minutes in between to kind of make sure everything built and all that kind of stuff. But what I was basically able to do, and it's actually funny, I do this going into meetings and demos with our customers all the time, where if I don't have access to their data just yet, maybe we haven't been on site yet, or maybe we're just starting a partnership for the first time, what you can actually still do in the platform is build out sort of the framework of all the transformations, the pipelining and Pipeline Builder, the ontology directly from Pipeline Builder. Once you have that ontology, you could even build a skeleton of logic around it, and then your applications as well. You can actually build all of that skeleton before actually feeding the data in. So that was effectively what I did, where obviously I knew sort of ahead of time the schema, the structure of the data coming in, like I knew that going in, but then effectively everything you see built out in the video, which is shortened slightly because obviously the video is 8 minutes, the full build was 8 minutes, but everything you see happening on the screen is happening live. And then basically what we did was feed the data in from the sim, build out all the pipelines, takes just a couple of minutes, and then you literally have the outputs there and then, which is why his Charles' reaction when he sees, and you see it earlier in the video, he talks about kind of improving braking, or there being a little bit of inconsistency in the braking. Right. The fact that we then saw that reflect in the program at the end, that was where we saw that spark from him, where he said himself, I was talking a lot about braking. And then that was exactly what the system picked up on. So that was obviously a sort of bead of sweat moment for me, of course. But yeah, that framework all obviously played out as expected. And yeah, we did that in just a matter of minutes. It's crazy.
Can you talk about the time series data and why that's really valuable for someone like Charles?
Oh, 100%. So they are, again, as he mentions in the video, they are used to looking at that data as a trend on a graph. Like we see that in Quiver, which is a tool within Palantir. We see that you can obviously view that telemetry. You can see multiple sensors alongside each other. You can even start tagging events and other context to that telemetry. They do a lot of that today. Like you, and I've actually done this myself in Maranello with them, where you literally look at the telemetry after a session, and these people that live and breathe this data, they will look at the chart, they'll look at the trends, they'll look at maybe the comparison. So they'll overlay two sets of telemetry between one session and another, maybe two different setups with the car as well. And they will manually go ahead and derive, okay, like we see kind of what this telemetry is telling me, and then they'll sort of feed that into the next session, the next practice, or indeed if they're developing the car, like the next testing session. So that is something they're used to, as Charles says himself. But the bit that was so compelling was, A, how do I take that telemetry, that time series data, and contextualize it against all of the other different types of data? So obviously
to derive actual insights.
Exactly. 100%. It's all about context and then action as well. And you can get a sense of the ontology concepts here. But firstly, you've got the fact that you're able to map that telemetry into the geospatial world. So you actually start to see position on the track. This is very valuable for someone like Charles, who is obviously thinking about car setup and stuff like that. But most importantly, he's thinking about how he's approaching every sector, every corner, like basically every component of the track. He needs to be able to map those events, those sort of happenings, to the geometrics of the track. And then, of course, not just the context, you've also got the action as well. So the ability to basically translate a load of geospatial data, a load of telemetry, time series data, into something that is very quickly digestible. So literally those driver notes that we see generated by AIP, that basically allows him to sit down and immediately, as you see in the video, get an insight that he can immediately sort of apply to his own driving. So I think obviously it's just the starting point. It's very much like I would then go on to develop this further, but to get to that in a matter of minutes, kind of unprecedented.
No, it's pretty damn incredible. And I think a lot of the reactions we're getting from the chat right here also kind of prove that, like, it's just amazing to kind of see that take place in 8 minutes. I think that's what Charles is also thinking as well in terms of getting those insights. Last question for you, Jack. Thank you for spending your time with us today. You were at the initial Palantir boot camps when they started that strategy. You just kind of did like a pseudo mini boot camp right there for 8 minutes. Mm-hmm. Is the reaction you got from Charles similar to some of the reactions you're getting from potential clients in terms of they actually see a working proof of concept and then they get more excited to think about working with Palantir?
100%. Yeah, I think part of the reason we were talking about sort of what I've been getting up to over the last few months, the thing I still enjoy with all the building and all of the presenting and the demoing, it's that moment where people see that first example, especially against their data. That was the thing for Charles. It's the thing for a lot of our customers as well. It's when you sit down at a boot camp and it's not just a slide deck, it's not just a proof of concept, it's something against their data that immediately they can start to map that into their sort of frame of reference, their view of the world. The joy of that at a boot camp is that you can do that in the first, it could be the first few minutes, it might be the morning of that day. And then once they see that, once they sort of build that intuition, it's all then about spending the afternoon or indeed the days subsequently iterating, adapting. And like people, I think, start to see that it's also not something that's set in stone. We build all of our software around the reality of the world today. And obviously it's like pretty obvious that that reality is constantly changing. So it's not just about people being impressed that you get to an outcome. It's also about showing just how quickly you can adapt, how quickly you can tweak without then adding hours and days of work. So it's an iterative process, but you're exactly right. This video almost encapsulates the joy of those boot camps. And it's why I still do it day in, day out. I love it.
There we go. As we say in the chat from Julie right here, love Jack Dobson's energy and passion. I also love his passion. And having worked with him, it's really fun to work with him. Jack Dobson, ladies and gentlemen, there's his Twitter. This is the newest Palantir celebrity, in my opinion, that we are going to be hearing a lot more of in the next decade. So please make sure to follow him. Also, he has the best accent ever. So
I got it. I mean, it's the one thing. I live in the US now, but I'm not losing the accent. I'm holding on to that.
I love it. Jack, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Share the video. Keep watching.
Thank you, Jack. Bye-bye. All right, boom. There you go. Pretty amazing stuff, dude. Pretty awesome stuff. Jack absolutely killing it in terms of really showing what this looks like in real time. And yeah, I didn't know who that guy was. Now I know that Charles, I'm not going to say his last name. He's a big deal, I guess. I'm not an F1 guy, guys. I didn't know. I mean, like, you could have had the most famous F1 person there. I'd be like, oh, it's another guy. But yeah, the fact that they got him to do that video and kind of show off what it looks like is pretty damn incredible. And it's exciting stuff in the context of Palantir. I'll put the link right here in the chat. If anyone wants to share that video, as Jack said, please make sure to share it. I also shared it on Twitter, so you guys can check it out. Send it to your friends and family. Those friends who bought Palantir at like $10 and are thanking you every day, send them this video, because they're probably going to be really excited that they bought it at $10. All right, so that's what we got on Palantir. Palantir stock right here, $67.12, up 0.05% of the day. SoFi taking a little bit of a hit, down 1% right now. XRP's at 270. And Steve is not going to let me live this down because XRP continues to go higher. And yeah, Steve's probably very, very happy about this. S&P 500 at 602. Nubank at 1189. That one's getting it. HIMS is down a little bit. Rocket Lab down 7.4%. It was down 10%. Tesla right here currently at 354 right now. Robinhood. Is Robinhood been moving? We haven't even looked at Robinhood. Ah, look at that. Robinhood, little hoodie, 38.65. Not bad on the hood. Potentially going for 39. Let's see the resistance at 39. Was I the only guys who didn't know who that Charles dude was? Am I the only person? Or are there other people here that also thought he was just a Ferrari guy? 39 is 13,000 shares. That is like zero resistance, bro. If we get the buy side pressure, we're breaking 39. We are breaking 39. I was the only guy who didn't know who Charles was. Okay, well, he's Ferrari's main driver. Oh, that makes it even more impressive because you live under a Palantir rock. Well, thankfully, Palantir gets me to know about who these people are, like Charles. I'm not even going to try to say his last name. That's not going to work. But there you go. Not bad. Not bad at all. Robin at 38.74, dude, up 3%. Is Bitcoin even moving, or why are we getting a little bit of a hoodie pump right here? Bitcoin, yeah, Bitcoin 97. Yeah, we're getting a move. 94 to 97, not bad. Not bad at all with Bitcoin. You only need to know CARB, correct. You only need to know CARB. Amid to do research, TMDX, not yet. I spent all weekend focusing on Grab, not TMDX, probably next weekend for TMDX. But interested in that one. I like Grab a little bit more, but I got to do some more DD on TMDX and what they got going on. But they are sold off a lot, which is good. Hood right here at 38.78, up 3%. SMCI again, yeah, SMCI also up at 15%, 15.2%, 37.61 currently right now. All right, let's finish what the professor had to say. We'll go back to him, and then we'll keep going from there. Let's finish off his thoughts, and then we will keep going. We are about to get into 10:30, so we might get a little bit of a slam on the market, and then we'll see kind of how that picks up.
Jeremy, what are you expecting? What do you think will happen? You anticipate that some of his stances will be moderated because he will care about the stock market's reaction to this, and that's why. So you're positive on stocks as a result?
Yeah, I am positive. I mean, I know that. Tom, who I respect tremendously, thinks another 5% this month. I'm wondering whether we brought forward the good December in November because of his election. So it might be a little bit harder to get to 6,300. I think that Tom thinks there'll be a pause after that. We are at high valuations, but not extraordinary. And I'm beginning to see that the Mag 7 is a little bit lagging the rest of the market. Are we seeing the beginning of the rotation? I think this month might begin to tell us, maybe the Mag 7 will do nothing next year, and those small and mid-sized caps stocks, which are, really so undervalued compared to the others, are finally going to have their day in the sun.
And that's okay with you?
I think that's perfect, and that'll keep the bull market going.
So again, the professor also saying, hey, small caps, they can get some momentum. We don't need the big 7 to keep going up as much as they did last year.
What would you anticipate next year if you think maybe we've already pulled some gains forward into November? What are you expecting for next year?
Well, I think I'm expecting a much quieter market. I mean, we've had two, blockbuster years, 2023, 2024. So I'm expecting an S&P probably in the 0 to 10% range. But I think that the Mag 7 and tech group might be flattish. So X that, you're probably in the 15 to 20, 5 to 15% range for the rest of the market, since Mag 7 is 1/3 of the S&P valuation. So maybe.
So again, a bit more bearish on the Mag 7, thinks the rest of the market can catch up. Folks, we have a longtime Tesla bull or bear who just raised his price target from 80 to 350 live on CNBC right now. Let's listen to his logic. But you got the Tesla bears, I guess, capitulating right here.
Tesla updated its self-driving software. The stock, as you see, higher this morning, up nearly 40% over the last month. Perhaps one reason why a longtime bear, Craig Irwin, just raised his price target to 380 and, more importantly, upgraded the stock to a buy from a neutral. Craig, I don't know what we're going to do anymore when we look for a Tesla bear and we can't go to you. I mean, it was tough. It was tough to begin with. Why this move? And, what do you say to those who will just cynically point to you and say, well, he's been wrong for so long, he just finally had to throw in the towel?
So what I'm looking at is this quarter is probably the last quarter of relative weakness, right? So, my view is, battery prices gave them the margin upside this last quarter, the prior quarter. And the CFO was very clear about the margin outlook for the fourth quarter. And the stock is responding to the Trump bump. Musk was one of the most passionate and authentic supporters of President Trump, and obviously a very close ally of his. Moving forward, the DOGE, the Government Efficiency Initiative, and all sorts of other things position him to play an interesting role in the Trump administration, right? So the last quarter of relative weakness, I think now he's got a new pool of buyers, conservatives that might not have looked at EVs quite as closely in the past, that allow an acceleration of demand in the core US market, right? So that means we're looking at positive estimate revisions. And I'm asking myself, where are the catalysts, right? I don't see very many negative catalysts if estimates are going to positive revisions, and they're abundant positive catalysts. Things are going to look a lot like they did 11, 12, 13 years ago, where they can literally invent their own milestones and knock them down. Optimus, Grok, the AI initiative, the visibility around EV share gains, all of these, I think, will play to the positive for Tesla. And I think this is something that can be sustained for a couple of years. It's not like it's going to happen over a quarter or two. So, bias is now to the upside, not the downside. And market cap may be huge, right?
What exactly changed? Did anyone catch his logic in the past? Like, is it just Trump getting elected? Because that's all I heard. But I don't know. I don't get the upgrade from 85 to 350 outside of Trump. I mean, that's what I'm hearing.
1.2 trillion is a big company, but they're doing big things.
All right, but this is a CEO who has famously said that if you want to own my stock, don't own it because of the cars, own it because of robotics, own it because of the robo-taxi and full self-driving. Are you a believer in that part of the story, which Mr. Musk has said should be the main focus for his investor base?
So where I think I need to look at things a little differently than how I did previously is we look at the incremental solutions for FSD and the incremental solutions for robo-taxis. So, I've liked the way that Waymo has rolled out with, autonomous. The use of LiDAR is not long-term sustainable because of the cost out there. It's something that does need to come out of the vehicles over the longer term. But in an incremental basis, it's something that allows a more practical solution. But as I've talked to more and more of the engineers involved in these different projects over the last, few weeks, I've learned that, there's often 2 or 3 of these, what do they call them? Teleoperation engineers, basically human operators there to catch something that goes wrong in this robot. And Tesla even started hiring teleoperation engineers last week. So, Tesla's not going to do any worse than Waymo. And, if they're more intently focused on an optical only solution, I think computing at the edge, some of this technology that's being brought to bring down the energy consumption for the compute is something that Tesla's going to be more adept at if that's where they're starting. And I think they're a real contender for the long run. So, the cyber taxi, yes, it's going to be rolling in the middle of next year, right? We're going to see incremental progress, and people are going to be able to have a tangible experience.
Right.
And that's what I think actually drives valuation in the stock, and that's what drives, enthusiasm to actually own the stock.
I'm just trying to understand the nearly $300 price target difference, though, that you come to. Do your earnings expectations change? Like, what do 2025 earnings look like now and 2026 earnings? Because you're laying out the bull thesis, but you could have done that a few weeks ago as far as the product roadmap.
So, our estimates for 2025 went from 245 to 340. A very large part of that is the acceleration of EVs, right? The fact that there's a much larger pool of buyers in the market now. I expect that the market to mix towards Tesla over the next few quarters, because the end of the Biden $7,500 EV tax credit, will indirectly benefit Tesla in a big way. So you've got new buyers, you've got a market consolidating back to Tesla, you've got market share going in the right direction. So the P&L will be driven by positive revisions on the EV side, and I've spent a lot of time looking closely, doing more work on the ADAS and on cyber taxi, and I'm saying, you know what? If they come to an incremental solution, getting off the movie set, that will be seen as positive. The movie set, I think, was underwhelming. And when they get this onto the road, the probability is that it's actually going to be, practical.
This is wild. Just to hear him say these bull talking points is wild. I think the only one left is Gordon Johnson at this point.
Aggressive, and they will make incremental progress from there. And, I don't need to be overly focused on the fact that we didn't roll out on a movie set. That's backwards looking at this point. Investors, discount the future. And I think Tesla has the capital and the technology and the engineering expertise to go ahead and lead in this market over the next number of years.
All right, Craig, thank you.
The fact that Tesla is making bears capitulate and raise their price target by over 300%, like this guy just did, because of how strong he thinks FSD can be. I think it's signaling that 2025, again, it does feel like the year of Tesla. It really does. Now, Tesla just has to execute, and Tesla has to really show off that they've got the goods when it comes to FSD, not only adoption, but FSD scaling in California and Texas, along with that next-gen vehicle. But if they pull that off, which, it just feels more and more likely given the relationship with Trump and the auto regulations that are going away, this could be a big year, a very big year for Tesla. And now whoever was buying at 140 and, who's getting basically killed on social media of like, why are you buying Tesla? It's the stupidest stock ever at 140. Those bulls are pretty happy right now. If you got this sucker at 140, market cap was what, like 300, 400 billion at the time? If FSD and Optimus becomes what it becomes, that might become one of the biggest steals of this decade. So Tesla right here, 355.76. Congrats to the people that bought the dip back in April and May when there was peak FUD. Took a lot of guts buying that dip. So you deserve this right here. 355 currently right now on Tesla. We even have Kris Patel in the chat saying that FSD is the future. When you're getting Kris to get into Palantir, or not Palantir yet. He's not touching Palantir. We'll get him into Palantir eventually. But he says 5 years from now, FSD will become a standard. He says he wants to buy a Model Y. And let me tell you, the amount of people that I've heard that are ready to buy a freaking Model Y because it is legit cheaper than other cars in the market because of that 0% APR. And Tesla has extended the 0% APR on their Model 3s as well in different parts of the world. I think China also got a leasing offer of 0% extensions. You're just seeing a lot more excitement. You're seeing a lot more excitement for Tesla. FSD is full self-driving. I have not officially tried full self-driving yet. I will be trying it soon. I have not sat down and tried it. I want to live stream it when I legit try it. or at least like record it. So I'm trying to get that set up, but I will be doing that either this month or early January. And then I'm going to have my raw reaction as well and see kind of what it looks like with a car driving myself. So we got the Stifle upgrade to 411. We got the 380 upgrade from 85 by Craig Irwin. I think there was one more piece of Tesla news that was also important today. Oh yeah, this is good for the broader market. Kramer says we're overbought. So everyone was very happy when Kramer said this. So got an overbought market from Kramer. Maybe that ends up being relatively good for the broader ecosystem. This was the thing I wanted to show you guys for a Cybertruck. So Tesla has reduced the lease pricing of a Cybertruck in the US by up to 13%, applying to the all-wheel drive and the Cyber Beast model. So new leasing prices are $900 a month for AWD all-wheel drive. That's down 10%. Cyber Beast at 13%, decreased at $1,000 a month. I am seeing a lot of Cybertrucks in New Jersey. And maybe it's because people want to differentiate themselves from not buying a Model Y or a Model 3, because there's a lot of Model Ys and Model 3s in New Jersey, but maybe, people want to stand out and get the Cybertruck. But I'm seeing a lot of them. I mean, almost every day when I go out to drive, I see a Cybertruck. So the fact that we are seeing them ramp up the way they are, along with the incentives that Tesla's giving for Q4, I think it's going to be a pretty good quarter. I don't think it's going to be a crappy quarter. And if it's a pretty good quarter, then we should probably get some more momentum, hopefully, in the stock. SoFi's dumping right now. Why is SoFi dumping? Ally Financial is also dumping, right? Ally is down 2%. SoFi, damn, SoFi's under 16. What happened? Why is SoFi getting hit right here? That is weird. What is happening to SoFi here? $15.99. Could be Algos just dumping it. I don't think there's any headline. They got a bunch of upgrades. That is kind of weird. That is very weird. Not sure why SoFi's down. Not sure right now. Where is Palantir? Palantir is at 66.22. Palantir also getting hit. Robinhood holding up at 38.45, up 2.4%. Bitcoin still holding up at 97K. Mstr is down 386. Marathon also, I believe, is down even after they raised 700 million. 2611, they're down 5%. S&P is still green at 603 currently on the day. Banks are down. Yeah, maybe that's why banks are down. Banks are down. Yeah, 246. Banks are down on JP Morgan. I guess SoFi's going down with the banks. But why are the banks down? That's weird. Maybe the banks are kind of, maybe the market's chilling out a little bit until we really start to see the effects of a Trump presidency, aka M&A activity and IPO. I mean, the banks have done very well, including SoFi, over the past 3 weeks. So the idea that they take a little bit of a breather is normal, because a lot definitely has been priced in, and now I think the street wants to see that momentum become real in terms of what they're pricing in. The semis are green today. Banks are red, semis are green. AMD's at 140, Nvidia's at 138, Intel's still up 4%, SMCI's up 20%. The only one that's red is Dell, down about 2.3%. All the other semis are green. So maybe a little bit of rotation coming back into the semis, as they got sold off pretty badly over the past 2 months. Fubo is up 10% today. Yeah, Fubo is up 11% currently right now. Fubo up 11.18%. Bitcoin, 96,984 currently right now. Okay, Amit, why don't you do a heat map? Well, we could do a heat map right now. Let's take a look at this heat map. FinWiz usually has one of the better heat maps that's out there. I think Webull has one too, but FinWiz heat map. Yeah, we should use this a little bit more. So this is the heat map of what we're looking at currently right now across the S&P 500. Apple, by the way, I think is at all-time highs. Are we? Apple's at 240. Oh my goodness. Apple is at an all-time high? Apple's at an all-time high. 240.73. Goodness gracious. Look at that. So mega caps right here are getting some love, as you can see on the heat map. Apple's up, Microsoft, Nvidia, Google, Meta, Amazon, Tesla. Tesla kind of leading the way. Broadcom's up, AMD's up, Eli Lilly getting some love. The banks are all red, pretty much all of them. And And energy is red, manufacturing is red, healthcare is red, value is red, financials are red. Literally the Mag 7. That's the only thing that's really green, to be honest, today. At least so far into the trading session. Shifting from risk a bit. Yeah, potentially. And look, Mag 7's safe. Mag 7's very, very safe. So, I mean, for the most part, right? Like, as a fund manager, you're probably not going to get killed if you buy Google or Nvidia. I mean, like, it's just a basic choice to make. I still think Google's cheap here. I think Google is relatively cheap. If it stays at 170 going into 2025, I'll probably be a buyer. But you got Apple right here at 240.7. So how much is Apple up year to date now? Apple year to date, Apple stock year to date. Wow, 30% on Apple. Market cap of 3.6 trillion, which means they beat Nvidia. Apple's now the most valuable company. Nvidia 3.4. Yep. Apple, once again, most valuable company in the world. Buybacks, iPads, and AirPods, and iPhones is what the market's betting on for Q4. 1030 dump on Palantir. Are we getting a real dump? Yeah, down 1%. There you go. A little bit of a dumpy dump on Palantir. $150 billion market cap on Palantir. QQQ rebounds. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks it gets announced. Maybe that's a catalyst for Palantir. But Palantir currently trading down 1%. SoFi as well, down about 3%. Tesla still holding up 3% at 356. Currently on the day. What else do we got? All right, so we talked about kind of the consolidation in some different stocks. Oh, let's talk about this. So this one was really interesting to me. I got a little bit of trouble in paradise when it comes to OpenAI. So OpenAI is having some issues. Upstart got downgraded today. That's why they're down. Upstart got downgraded. That's the reason. And the logic behind the downgrade was that the shares are moving too quick. There's too much growth priced in. Kind of similar to some of these other stocks that got downgraded last week. So that's why Upstart is down. OpenAI is exploring ads. This is another reason that I'm getting a bit more bullish on Google. And hear me out on this. OpenAI is going to do $4 billion of revenue next year. That's the estimate. But to build their models, it costs $5 billion. Now, they have a really good subscription business. They have a really good API business where they get paid per when people use GPT as an API for API calls. But still, they're losing money. Why? Because it costs a lot of money to build new models, to train those models, and to obviously pay the NVIDIA tax that OpenAI has to pay. How do they make some money? You got to go back to ads. And the reason I think this is bullish Google, and the report in the Financial Times said that Sam Altman is warming up to the idea of ads. Historically, he's kind of been against ads, which is kind of weird because it's like the dude is one of the largest shareholders of Reddit, which is making all their money from ads. But I guess on OpenAI, he didn't want to integrate that kind of experience. He wanted it to be like a really smooth LLM that people go to without having the bias of advertising coming in. But money's money, and you got to make money. Google is the undisputed leader when it comes to ads. So this is why I think this is bullish for Google. If OpenAI is going to put an ad in your search result, and Google already has the ads, and all they have to do is show a really nice generative AI search result embedded within the ads, which they're already doing in a variety of different verticals. It's still in beta, but it's getting rolled out even more and more. Then Google's the one that's winning the generative AI advertising collaboration inside of the search overview. And I think they'll be able to go to advertisers and say, hey, we have a way better way to integrate your ads into our AI overviews than ChatGPT, because GPT hasn't done it before, right? So, and GPT is trying to kind of figure this out for the first time. So I think that's an argument for why that's actually bullish Google. I mean, look, if OpenAI has to sell ads, they're going to have to start doing it to make more money. But will they be able to sell ads in the most sophisticated way, the way that Google has been doing it for well over 2 decades? I don't know. And then will they have a pay-per-click model where if you click on the ad, you know, OpenAI gets more money? Like a lot of this stuff is going to have to be figured out. But ultimately, it does look like they are trending in that direction. Bitcoin right here, 97,000. Robinhood at 38.58 currently right now. Rango says, admit my Perplexity deal has gone through. Congratulations, Rango. I know that you were trying to invest in Perplexity and you got your allocation. Look, I think Perplexity is going to be big over the next decade. And I think Google can still grow even if Perplexity grows as well. So it's nice to get in that round. I think their funding round is $9 billion. That's what Perplexity is raising at, $9 billion valuation. You know, it's probably expensive on paper, but $9 billion 10 years from now, if Perplexity keeps growing, it's probably going to be a steal. So congratulations on that. Not bad on that one at all. Okay, give me a second. My computer is losing battery. Let me just plug in the charger real quick. All right, we are back. What do you say about Nike? So starting to warm up a little bit towards Nike. Nike right here, 78.50. Nice V-shaped recovery from the bottom here earlier today. SoFi still down about 2.59%. The biggest thing about Nike is the amount of debt they have, but that debt, not only can it be refinanced, it's not as aggressive as I think some people thought the debt was a couple of weeks ago. And maybe that's what Bill Ackman saw as like an argument for why he gets into it. But yeah, no position in Nike. I do like it though as a dividend name, but not a position yet in the name itself. Let's read the Nubank downgrade for what we got from Citi. So this is what Citi said. While we recognize efforts of the management team and give them all the merits to bring the bank to superior levels in terms of profitability, we are cautious given the current high valuation level. Again, an argument that shares have gone up too fast. In our view, deacceleration of the Brazilian operation, while the other growth avenues may be taking time to be profitable, opens up room for some profit taking. The stock price has appreciated 50% year to date, while the stock trades at a 24 PE and 6.2 price to book, which could be justified in the context of strong acceleration in its Brazilian operations. But as the bank is correctly deaccelerating in Brazil, we believe that the current valuation seems rich. Maybe this is a reasonable argument in all reality to say to your clients that, hey, it's gone up too much to take some profits because Brazil is declining. It more so seems like, hey, you're up a lot of money. I don't want this thing to go down and then for you to get mad at me for me telling you not to take profits. So I'm telling you to take some profits. I mean, it's honestly some of these guys covering their ass going into the end of the year to protect their bonuses in case we get a little bit of a pullback. So they can at least tell their clients, well, hey, I told you at $12, $13 to take profits. Now it's at $8. That's your fault. I'm the one who told you to take profits. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that towards the end of the year, as some analysts definitely are afraid of certain stocks that have run up a ton over the past couple weeks. Rango says he bought Nubank. Yeah, no position in Nubank, but I like it. I like Nubank. I mean, I went through their growth last quarter. It is quite phenomenal. And I guess the biggest fear is, can they keep up that growth? They are getting a bit more saturated in Brazil, as the analyst said. But if they can keep up that growth, I mean, I don't know what's really stopping Nubank here. They've got a lot of excitement, a lot of momentum. CEO is an absolute rock star as well. But look, maybe we get a nice opportunity over the next few months to get some more of it. Rocket Lab, or is Rocket Lab still down? Rocket Lab 2503. Rocket Lab down about 8% on the day. It's up like 70% past 2 weeks, so makes sense. It's taking a little breather. Apple still at 240, Tesla 355, Robin at 3850, and Bitcoin trying to get back to 98,000 right here at 97,270 currently right now. Why is Rocket Lab down? From my understanding, Rocket Lab's down because people are legit just taking profits. Let me do a quick search if there's any news on Rocket Lab. No news. No news. Nothing. Just seems technically it's getting a little bit of a pullback. Nothing actually crazy in terms of what we're seeing for Rocket Lab. Here's Peter Beck from the latest podcast he did with Matt and Vince. Make sure to definitely check that out on their channel because they got to interview Sir Peter Beck. But here's what he said last week on their channel.
You know, nobody should be shocked or too worried if we blow an engine up. I mean, just to be clear, we haven't. But if we blow an engine up, well, that's also normal because you know, you want to find and improve the margin that you have. You know, if you think you have 1.2 times safety factor on pump rotational speed, then you want to take it up to 1.2, obviously. But you know, is it 1.21? Is it 1.25? So some tests you deliberately, might run it up to 1.4 and something might let go because you want to actually, sample those margins and actually, determine where they truly are versus where you predict them to be,
So the full interview is on Vince's channel. You guys can check it out. Look, I'm starting to like Peter Beck a lot more as a founder as well. I mean, this is a guy that has worked for decades to try to get this vision to become real. And if a rocket were to explode, I guess the stock would probably be down. But, as he's saying right here, that's inevitable, right? You're going to have things where things don't go according to plan. We saw that with SpaceX last week where they weren't able to catch the booster as they probably wanted to. But it's just part of the business, right? And if you're investing in Rocket Lab, you kind of have to understand that inherent risk. I think a lot of people at a $12 billion market cap don't care about those risks because they see SpaceX at $250 billion. And I think if Rocket Lab can even get to a small percentage of SpaceX's TAM, this is closer to a $50, $70 billion company, which is a 5X from here. So I think most people are not worrying too much about that right now. SMCI volume. What is SMCI volume? What are we looking at? Wow, 91 million shares on SMCI. Goodness great. This stock has been toyed with back and forth for the past 2 months. Again, down from 120 in February or March when it was at its highest level. Currently up 20%. Here's a question. Will they get rebalanced out of the QQQ? The candidates to get rebalanced out of the QQQ are SMCI and Moderna. And the two candidates to get rebalanced into the QQQ are Palantir and MicroStrategy. So we might see a big change coming up in the next couple of weeks. MicroStrategy right here at 387. Is Microsoft up today? Microsoft is green. Wow, 2%. We usually don't get 2% on Microsoft. Microsoft usually stays flat. Looks like that FTC investigation that was announced on Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving, is a nothing burger to the market right here. Microsoft right here, 431, up 2% currently right now. Robinhood has a new tax maximizing feature. Did they just announce that? Did they just announce that? That would be nice if they announced a new feature today. Oh, yeah. We got tax lots, folks. We got tax lots. We got the tax lots on Hood. There you go. Look at that. It's here. Vlad said it would come by the end of the year. He kept his promise. We are here. Robinhood just unveiled a new feature allowing users to sell specific stock lots to help with getting the lowest tax hit. That's awesome. Look, I know this feature has been in Schwab and Fidelity forever. I get it. But it's nice for it to finally come to Robinhood. So if you've got a stock that you bought at $5 and you also bought at $50 and it's at $100 and you want to take some profits, you can keep your $5 shares and sell the $50 ones now with this feature. App only, I don't see it on the web. I'm sure they're probably going to roll it out over the next couple of weeks. Usually it takes some time for them to roll it out, but it does look like before the end of the year. One of the Robinhood support agents told me that the profit and loss feature is definitely going to be rolled out by the end of the year to everybody. And they said probably by December, it's like officially going to be for everyone. So now tax lots hopefully come to everybody as well. That's good. I mean, dude, the amount of features these guys have shipped this year, I mean, you can't even name them on two hands. Like it is well over 10 different things that they have launched this year that have been like meaningful updates to the business, which is pretty damn incredible given how much they've already put out this year in terms of new products. It's not bad. Someone says that's actually huge. I was considering starting to use my Robinhood account. I didn't know you couldn't sell specific shares. Yeah, apparently people really care about tax lots and like they're really like uptight about it. So this was a feature that we needed for Robinhood. And now we got it, which is not bad. Cool. So that's what we got for Hood. Robinhood right here at 38.52. Any other headlines? Do we got anything else? I think that's pretty much it, guys. I think that's pretty much it. Nothing too crazy. Oh, there's one thing I want to show you guys. We talked about Tesla, the macro, marathon, Palantir, Ferrari stuff. NVIDIA is getting more into humanoid robotics. Real quick headline right here. I don't think any of us are bullish enough on the bots. But according to industry sources, NVIDIA has approached several Taiwan-based machine tool and component makers to join its humanoid robot supply chain. Rumors suggest NVIDIA may also establish a robot assembly base in Taiwan as part of its plans. NVIDIA now pushing into physical manifestations of AI. NVIDIA also was an investor in Figure AI, so it does seem like they think one of the next evolutions of where AI goes outside of just LLMs is humanoid robotics. Obviously, that is very bullish for Tesla because as soon as Jensen starts getting the street to think about robots, as soon as you start seeing startups continue to do well in regards to their humanoid robotic ambitions, you start to get analysts thinking, well, wait a second, how do we get exposure to this? Tesla. Like on the public markets, it's Tesla. It's freaking Tesla. And so I think that just continues the compounding effects of what 2025 could be for that company. Maybe you need to check out Dr. Jim Fan. Yeah, I'm going to try to get him on the show. I heard about him in early 2024. He's leading the humanoid robotics team at NVIDIA. He's a legend. Guy's an absolute superstar. Definitely would love to have a conversation with him more about where he sees the future of robotics because this industry is just getting started. And it seems like it is continuing to go higher. So yeah, Jim Fan, that's definitely a guy we got to try to get on the show. Okay, I think that's it. No other crazy headlines that I'm looking at right now. We'll be back on the market close. I think we have Zscaler earnings. So another cybersecurity name, but that's it. And then tomorrow we do have some more earnings, but outside of that, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's some of the headlines we got today. All right, folks. That is it for me. Its next girlfriend might be a robot. Dude, I think robots are, I mean, there is a world where humans are interacting a lot more with robots. It's coming. It's not coming soon, but I think in factories, robots are coming, and then eventually that'll happen with humans in their homes. Even Apple, they have humanoid robotic ambitions as well. So I think this industry is just getting started. Word of the day. Let's see what we got. I don't even want to know the jokes you guys are going to make on this word of the day, but let's see. Word of the day is hardihood.
Hardihood.
Boldness or daring, courage. He had the hardihood to question the authority of the king. Her hardihood, that does not sound right, bro, in confronting the raging storm to have the stranded hikers earned her widespread admiration. I will leave it with Ty Zuko's comments. I'm hardy for hood. There you go. That's what we got. That's what we got. All right. Thank everybody. We'll be back. Market close 3:45, and we will keep going from there. One earnings today. We'll get some other headlines that we got going into the market close at 3:45, and then that will be it for today. All right. Thank everybody. Appreciate it. We'll be back in a few hours. Bye, everyone. Have a good one.